Hello, everyone. Welcome to the finale, the season 1 finale of Hot D.
We did it.
We did it. We made it.
Look how large our family has grown since episode 1, Gary.
It has gotten so much larger. It grew kind of like the last 3 or 4 episodes of House of the Dragon. We just time jumped and had a bunch of kids.
Yep.
We have Shad the first of his name, RK Outpost the first of his name, our lady daughter Jayne Theory, who can't inherit anything because she's a girl. We have
Jayne Theory of House Valerian.
Fringy's who can't inherit shit and is probably plotting against us right now. And of course, my heir Mauler. You've usurped my own son since heir.
The
long man.
This is making me want to figure out which house, because all right, Jayne Theory, House Valerian, that makes sense. Now I'm wondering which house would I be in. It's like, I don't know. The Starks are the most noble, but the aesthetic doesn't match.
I kind of want Stark so I can have ice, super long Valerian sword, you know.
You're like a river lord, Shad.
You reckon?
Yeah. You got a river lord vibe about you.
To be fair, I'd be north of the wall. I'd be one of the walkers, probably.
I'd probably like do something dastardly and get rewarded with Harrenhal and then die because somebody hates me. I feel like that would be my lot in the Game of Thrones.
Die in a fire.
Probably. Yeah.
Absolutely. Jayne's obviously Valerian, so she's got striking Valerian features. And
it's the white hair, obviously.
It is.
Do you feel represented now, Jayne?
Absolutely
you couldn't relate to Game of Thrones until they made that change.
Mauler, there's Krakens in the so you can get Kraken.
All right, I'll take it.
Fringy. Oh, that mask is like a plague. Well, I mean, I know what it is, but it looks like a plague mask. I don't know.
He'd be a maester.
Is that what Fringy the Maester lurching around in these castles with the plague doctor mask? Are you okay? Don't be scared. I'm here to help.
I'll leech you.
Yeah. Viserys always loves the leeches.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh man.
Greyjoy. That's right. Welcome everyone. Hello, chat. You lovely, lovely chat. We just finished watching. I know the episode leaked, so I know y'all have saw it like 3 days ago, but we watched it tonight.
I stayed away from
the Black Queen. That's what it's called.
Yeah,
it's called the Black Queen. I knew kind of what was going to happen because I read the book and they made some changes. Some I really liked. Some I'm like, I don't know. There's a lot of leftover, and we're going to bitch about it. So just be ready from last episode's ending because it was. I watched it again, and it was worse. It just made it worse. And I guess that's where we can start. Rainy's
remind everybody if they missed the last episode, we are the fan club of fuck Rhaenys for that decision she made.
And she got worse in this episode in regards to her answer to it. It's like, oh, really?
Well, the episode just like ignores it. Like we got to sort of ignore what happened at the end of episode 9. It's like nobody talks about it. They all dance around what she did.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. I think one of the lessons in that ending, hopefully, maybe this is one of the lessons. Maybe I'm giving him too much credit. Is that nobody gives a shit about like all the regular people in Westeros. Like they just don't. You see with basically everybody talking about war and everything in this episode as well. They don't give a fuck who dies. They're sitting there in their castles, their lords. They're not in touch with the common people.
Well, I guess
they love to pretend.
We might be jumping ahead a little bit, but I mean, it was one of the things that was sort of a through line for Rhaenyra was that concern about what is actually good for the realm. But so I guess the thing is I don't get the impression that like the part Rhaenys plays is highlighting how much they don't care about regular people. No. I don't think. You know what I mean? Like I don't see that as a connection. I just think it was a mistake that they don't recognize as an error.
Well, we've talked about it like in different shows and stuff, but like for those who only listen to this as reviews, like they have since come out with quotes regarding that complaint, and they've said some of the most annoying and least assuring things possible, including but not limited to, well, the Game of Thrones civilians, it doesn't count.
What?
What? When did they say
What
that?
do you mean?
That's
The director of the last episode said that.
yeah. We
Oh,
posted it on
That was a
Ridiculous
woman,
TV.
wasn't it?
Yes.
Of course.
They don't
Yeah.
count.
Well, so obviously what happened was they somehow managed to do all of it, the whole scene, and nobody highlighted this. It's the Wonder Woman thing again, and they get told about it. They're like, "Oh shit! Well, that doesn't count. That doesn't count."
Whoops.
But
How does that happen?
How is that
Are
a
you
mistake
surprised?
that happens?
That somebody from Hollywood thinks that way. I'm really not.
I think
Not caring about common folk, the little people, like
Yeah.
screw-
I guess the impression that I get with that was that they needed some big bombastic thing to happen in the penultimate episode, because that just seems to be like a common formula at this point, have some big crazy thing happen. But like you could have just had the scene play out, like the crowning, the coronation, or whatever it's called, and then like through the doors you see like Rhaenys on her dragon like flying away. And while all of this celebration is happening, like all of the greens are up there, like, oh shit. Like she's going off to find like Rhaenyra. So you could still have that and it would be quieter and it
They
wouldn't
would
destroy
say that's not-
Rhaenys.
They'd say that's not badass enough. Like,
I
mean,
yeah.
if they wanted
but it is.
some action, have her breaking out of the cave and the dragon or some
Yeah, the
guards trying to
cliffs or
stop her
something.
from the main cave entrance, and yeah, she would have got somewhat of a badass moment, frying some
Well, I guess
people
it's just-
preventing her.
I feel like
At
the
least have
show-
her try. I mean, you could
I
have
guess
her
it's-
try to fry them and have them run away and hide.
I feel like this show has done enough to say that it's kind of above having some crazy big bombastic moment, like to be, like one of the most intense, greatest moments in the whole season is an old, like dying man walking across a hall.
Exactly.
You don't need any crazy stupid
well, yeah, and
shit
if
like
you
that.
need the idea of like, hey, the whole war was in her hands, and she had so much power in that moment. So you could still put her at the front. I think we talked about this last week. You can land her at the front of the building, preparing the fire. Everyone's panicking because she can cook the whole room, and then you reverse the mistake. She instead looks around. She's like, "Shit, I can't kill
Too
those
many
leaders
innocents
without killing a shit ton
Exactly.
of innocent people, so I can't do it."
Mhm.
And then you can have her talk more about how, I wasn't going to become the person that these wars turn you into, sort of thing, which can foreshadow
would've
what's going to
been
happen to other people.
great.
Right.
Yeah.
That would have been such a building, characterization for her, made her more sympathetic. Gosh, that pissed me off now. It had so much potential.
Like, I don't have a problem with her making the decision to not just like kill them all there. Like, I can like understand, because she doesn't know what's gonna happen. She doesn't know the future. She doesn't know exactly what'll happen. So like taking all those lives right there. What I don't like is just the way she got there. Like
I don't know,
bursting
man.
up
Like,
through everybody.
Well, I think
Well,
it's a
part of the
matter of
problem-
after busting through the floor, you might as well just commit at this
Yeah.
point. Like
I mean,
it's already
to
too
me,
late.
She had
was the one
killed
who brought
so
up the
many people.
discussion.
Yeah. She had killed so many people. The logic that it would be too bad to kill these other group of people who will probably cause a war that's wiping around. Can't do that. It's like, no, you've contradicted yourself. You're at a point where she was willing to wipe out so much life. She had the chance to end the war right then, and for her now to think, oh, that's too far. Oh, come off it.
And we can't say that she didn't know what was going to happen, because she had that conversation with Allison right before this, discussing the dragons getting involved in the war and what that would mean. She knows what's about to happen. So to have her just stand there and do nothing when her grandchildren's lives are at stake makes no sense.
I don't mean to, if this counts as jumping ahead, but like to say like, it's not my war. It's like, yes, the fuck it is. Your blood's already in this war.
You started it.
And yeah, with that was one of the bigger acts of the war. It's still the biggest act of war. They just don't seem to recognize it that way.
Now, were Daemon's daughters there, which are her grandchildren? Were they there at the coronation? Because that could have, I feel,
No.
if you know,
No.
they did. Were they not there? Well, then friggin' hell. Oh,
Yeah,
you're right.
they
They're
were-
at Dragonstone. Friggin', and
Mhm.
so, oh my goodness.
So you're allowing them to live, these people who have dragons and who are going to be coming after your family.
Yes, like your only blood descendants
not her war,
would be on
okay?
the opposite end, and it's just,
Seriously,
oh
that
no, it's
seems
not
like-
my war. You moron! It's going to be your war no matter
Well, yeah,
friggin'
because
what.
one of the first things she says when she gets to Dragonstone to talk to Rhaenyra is they're coming for you. Like they're going to come for you
And
your
you.
kid. Yeah, and of course you. But it's like you understand what's happening. Like you're not an idiot. I mean, barring that insane decision, like you're not stupid, right? Like you know what's going to happen.
It's like her. I felt like what Rhaenys was basically saying is, hey, they're coming for you. You need to get out of here. Like that. It's almost like that was like her intention. You know, like you guys just need to leave Dragonstone. You need to go across the Narrow Sea. You need to go to Pentos. You need to go somewhere else and just abandon everything. And that was her plan.
I didn't get that impression. I thought leave Dragonstone to get to, I don't know, some place safe in Westeros. And I was like, what the? No, Dragonstone is the safest place for you. Don't leave the bloody castle.
It's a dragon nest. They
Yeah,
are
exactly.
Like, what retardation is that? Leave Dragonstone, you
They make
stupid
her
woman.
so stupid. That's exactly it.
Yeah, and, well, that's why I think that was kind of like, hey, you're not going to be queen. Like, take your family, what you care about, and leave and get out of Westeros.
Yeah,
because they're going to kill you.
Just about. I mean, they make a point of telling you this in the show. It's not just about like, yeah, the Greens have Vagar, but they also have legitimacy now. Everybody watched Aegon get crowned by a septon of the faith. The Maesters have accepted it. Like the King's Landing was there. The ones who survived.
The ones who survived.
Yes. So, I mean, that does matter. Perception matters. That's something that even Viserys talked about earlier in the season. No, like if they would have just had Rhaenys leaving, I think that was enough. That would have been plenty. Like they would have gone, because it would have shown that like they're all excited and we did it. And oh shit, there's still this one thing. There's a bunch of dragons and Targaryens who are going to want to kill us now. And still they showed resistance until this episode, which was a vast improvement on a really okay episode that had a bad ending, which sucks because it followed like the best episode of the season, like 10 out of 10 good episode. They
did lean into the feminist thing though.
Oh, well, with the changes from the books. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the people who didn't read the book will probably notice it anyway, but they like Rhaenyra in the books was all ready to go to war. She wasn't like
war
hesitant.
She wanted their heads. She's gonna kill them all.
Hey, as someone,
she's the sane one in the room.
Someone who doesn't know anything about the books, I would have said, without you guys saying that, it's like it's clear they're going to drag Alicent and Rhaenyra down as the time goes on. They're both going to do worse and worse things to each other until they're both easily like horrible people. That seems to be where they're going with it. So it looks like if I could imagine the director's commentary on what you just said. It's like, oh, just give us a sec. We're gonna get there. We just want to.
That is my impression. And honestly, I actually liked Rhaenyra in this episode with her kind of learning from her father to try and find a means to avoid bloodshed. And that this is going to be, well, we know what happens, is the thing that just makes her going to go nuclear. And so just by what I guess the show set up without my knowledge of the greater lore, I actually felt this was a bit more kind of in line with her arc, especially when she was showing a bit more, I guess, wisdom, talking to her father, saying, I'm starting to feel the weight of this duty on me. And so that was, I think, mostly well executed.
Hey, Otto's offer was, you could tell the Greens were like, we got to put a lot on the table for them to take it. But they, obviously, there's only so far they can go. But it seemed like they gave them as much as they were gonna. And that's what made her reconsider it for a moment, I think. At least for a moment. Like, we don't have to kill everybody.
I could just not be queen. I'll still be on Dragonstone, and all the pressure will be on them. But what they don't know is Aegon. Well, I mean, they don't know Aegon as well as the Greens know Aegon. Like, he's going to be probably a pretty bad king. Yeah, that there's that. But I think they've done a lot of good setup. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but not bad for Game of Thrones season 8, which was just shit. Let's not forget that. People are I'm gonna go back and watch it. And they don't really. I would, or I'd watch the first 3 seasons and maybe read the books and just pray that George lives long enough to finish them. That's all. Which we all do. We all hope George lives to 1,000. We do. Hey, so we got the episode up, and it starts out with little Luke.
Question: did we want to give our kind of broad thoughts of the episode?
Yeah. See, it's good to rein me in because I'm like a magpie.
Oh, so we did it on the other episodes, and I have a sword comparison.
Oh my God.
Don't often live stream twice in a day. Doctor Who ended. I already forgot it. I already forgot it. 90 minutes to watch like 30 seconds of something that was worth watching. Just totally terrible. This was not. So, Mauler, overall thoughts on this episode?
I liked it. I am happy we're a little bit back on form. Unfortunately, that stupid moment in episode 9 will stain a lot of times Rhaenys is on screen. And I know I sound like a battered housewife at this point. I'm just saying that's something that annoys me. And we're probably never going to deal with it ever again. It's just a bruise, a little scar. Okay. Other than that, I was very much happy with how a lot of things were unfolding. I just, unfortunately speaking, I guess I just want to see how everything is going to turn out even further. This was they gave you something at the end of the episode designed specifically to be like, yeah, you'll be back, won't you? And they're like, yes, I will. But yeah, it's kind of neat just to see everything start to roll out on the black side of it. And I just like all these very real conversations about how the war can be fought and what will happen and how realistic everyone's chances are considering all the dragons, and how they're even talking about the size of the dragons and the experience of the dragons, like, which is just, I feel like that's what would happen. It's not just numbers. We got a lot of things to consider. And yeah, I really enjoyed Daemon once again. Matt Smith he just nailed it throughout the whole season. Not exactly a surprise. But there's a particular scene I'm looking forward to talking about where he gets a little upset. I was very happy with it. Back on form. There's some things I think that are worth criticizing, but nothing as bad as, and I don't think that's no surprise. Nothing as bad as Rhaenys killing everybody.
All right. Fringy.
Yeah, I like this episode a lot. It feels like a pretty strong conclusion to this season in terms of we've built up to this. This feels like we've ended this chapter of the story, and now we're moving on to the next one, and it's going to be different going forward. Like all of everything's been set up. Now everything's ready to topple, which is going to be interesting to see play out with basically what is like a really well characterized set of characters. Like there are a lot of interesting players, a lot of interesting dynamics. And we saw a good amount of that there. Yeah, like a few issues, but yeah, I liked it a lot. It feels like an improvement compared to last episode, that's for sure.
Ryan, welcome, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good to find out. I was supposed to be here last week. Of course, I got sick, so I couldn't. But so I got sick during the worst episode, which is pretty apt. But this is obviously a bounce back from episode 9. Yeah, I think it's one of the stronger ones in the season. I don't think it's the best because, we got episode 8 that should win awards for how good that one was. But overall, I really liked it. It's pretty amazing what this show has continued to do week after week, which is keep tension like without even any dialogue at times. And I feel like it does that really well in this show with these characters when you're trying to piece out what exactly you think these characters are thinking or are doing or are like plotting. And it was the ending that we've expected. If you read the books, kind of the ending that we've predicted and expected that it would end on. And I think it was the absolute right one to end on, and not with a whole lot of time to breathe after that, just for you to realize that now shit's going to get very real and to get you coming back for season 2. So overall, I think it was a really solid finale and a really good episode.
Would you say, Ryan, that it finished strong?
Ooh. I would. If I were Eamon, I would. Certainly.
Yes. Shad.
Interesting. I'm actually a little conflicted on this episode. I did really like it, but I think I'm suffering from my own expectations and I need to push them aside because I was honestly hoping for something to really wow me and blow me away. But as I do reflect on it, I think what happened is more personal and possibly more impactful as a result. And therefore, it might be even better than what I was kind of expecting. And to give an example of kind of what I was thinking this episode might go, it's not real spoilers, but like there is a meeting, a negotiation. I thought the Blacks would just go nuclear and wipe them all out. Daemon just goes, kill them, bring me his head. He's wanted that head for all, and that happens. And then I thought there would be some really kind of savage things with a couple more characters dying to, a quick attempted assassination then against Rhaenyra and their family from the Greens as a counter to them getting killed, and then basically that just setting up ready for a massive war. And we didn't get that. It was a far slower burn than I was expecting in terms of how things played out. And that's not a criticism. I felt a little deflated, but that's my own subjective thing because of I was expecting something bigger. But what they did do, like I said, is much more personal and direct. And so there's a lot of things I like in this episode. I do have a concern about how they executed one of the last and very important things that happened this episode. I have a question mark as to why someone did something which seemed to, I don't know, maybe I'm looking forward to discussing it. Maybe you guys can propose a different viewing of how that plays out. And as a result, I'm still kind of on the edge of between that, depending on how that really works, between a 7 and 8 for me. But as a result, I would compare this episode to my Scottish Claymore. It is still a beautiful sword, but there are some things that are a little predictable about it, okay, because it's a very similar design to many of these types of swords. And there was something I felt that was pretty predictable in this episode. And I'm a little undecided as to how much I like this sword, which I feel fits this episode quite nicely because this is still a beautiful, gorgeous sword, right? It's a little too heavy for my taste, though, which is a subjective thing. And I might have some subjective issues with this episode. And so I think this is a very good representation of this episode for me. A solid Scottish Claymore.
Nice. All right. Jayne.
Yes. The performances for this episode I felt were really, really good. I enjoyed the book dialogue that was included. The scenes were really beautiful. The action that we did get, I felt was well done. Storm's End, amazing. Did not disappoint. I am still concerned about some of the changes, particularly with regards to Rhaenyra. I feel like they're nerfing her. When this is someone who is a Targaryen queen, this is blood of the dragon, and yet they've sort of switched it where it's all of the men pushing for war instead of her, and that bothers me. I can see how it plays well for non-book readers, but when you get to know this character from how she's written to what you see on screen, it's too jarring for me to just completely ignore it. And I think it does her as a character a disservice. That saying, I do still really enjoy the show. And I felt like this was a great episode overall. Not the best, but definitely in my top 3.
Agreed. I'd say it's in the top 3. It finished I loved the ending. I freaking loved it. I was worried they would rush towards something else, which I won't say that they saved.
Gary talked about it
in the later season, and I'm glad they did. I think Shad's instincts are very good on what is going to.
I already have a feeling of what the question is going to be.
You went low. I'll go lower.
Yeah, it's they even came out. Ryan Condell came out and said like it's all out war next season. Yeah. So and that's not a surprise to anybody. And I mean at the end, Rhaenyra does go blood of the dragon. Like that was the whole point. Is like, well, she tried it. What's pushing
her, yeah. They got her there.
And you think about it, if Viserys had a child murdered, he would change too, like how much he loved his family.
I think it was Shadow sort of talking about this a little bit earlier, but I think it lines up a little better that is Viserys' daughter. He spent a lot of time on her. I like that she's been influenced by him, even to the point where Matt Smith says, like, you know, that's your
father talking. Yeah.
Yeah. He gets so pissed. The weakness that he despised in him, he now sees in her, and that's one of the reasons he's so upset.
With what happens, Viserys' influence over her decisions is probably going to be much lesser. His inspiration, if you will, sort of thing.
Yeah, because he lost children, but not in the way she did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like
no, dude. What do we see with Viserys? The second that the legitimacy of his sons was actually, his grandsons were questioned, he wanted to take out Daemon's tongue.
Yeah.
I think we had enough reason to believe that once his blood is threatened, that Viserys would have gotten violent.
Yeah, he would have gone nuclear, and I think that justifies Rhaenyra's because if I was in her spot, I would be ready to go nuclear as well. I was just like,
do you remember the Viserys scene when he thought that Daemon fucked Rhaenyra? How all of a sudden he changes, like that's when the blood of the dragon comes out, and he's like got Daemon down there with a dagger to his neck.
Yep.
But even in this instance, I mean, she lost her baby as a result of this, and in her eyes, they're responsible for that.
They could blame them for that as well. Yeah, that's true.
Black Fury is the term that was used in the book. So she'll probably be in that, and but we'll see that next season. So we start out with little Luke, who's saying he doesn't want it. He just
makes a lot of sense. They had some time on him, as well as hearing him.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's effective. It made me like Luke. I like those strong boys. They're like, and
well, it's they're more that like they're very noble. They just come across as very noble.
You guys have the same thought where he was describing what she has and he doesn't. He said, "I'm not." I thought he was going to say strong. I was like,
I know. I thought he was, but he said perfect. Everybody, and. To her credit, she says, "I'm far from it."
Yeah, but it also shows their relationship and how close they are.
Shows her being a good mother, and that she's going to help him along the way. It's like, okay, they are good.
Well, yeah, I think it's not a surprise, right, that Alicent's kids are like unhinged and unstable, because like very little of her focus has been on them as people, whereas with Rhaenyra, it's different. And then of course there's the element of they probably feel like they have to work harder to even like exist, right? Because it's constantly called into question whether they have any claim to any of this. So I think it's just like natural pressures that would make them into better, more well-rounded people by comparison to Alicent's kids.
Agreed. Sorry, I was reading the chat.
I was like, well, over. Thanks for joining this guy.
Silence. So they have their little
one other thing too is she talked about she would be the one teaching him just like her father taught her. And to think, little did anyone know that was not going to happen.
I think, again, I think that's part of the point. That scene is devised likely knowing what his fate is.
Yeah. 100%. That like knowing how this season was going to end in all likelihood. When the opening scene was Luke, I was like, oh man. Like a scene between Luke and Rhaenyra, you're like, oh, bro, like that's kind of rough, but it was good, and it calls back to exactly the same way that Luke felt in episode 8 when he had all of this controversy surrounding him, even when he knows he's not legitimate. I don't want all these people like worrying about me. I don't want people dying around me. I don't want all this responsibility. Same thing he was in episode 6, the funeral episode. He's been very consistent about that, not wanting to be pushed into this role, but everybody surrounding him, pushing him anyway.
And what I liked about it, is that the reason why he doesn't want to, because he feels he'll do a terrible job. I get sick as soon as I'm on a boat. How the hell can I command a fleet? And that's actually like a logical, fair thing to observe. And it's I don't know, it makes him seem more responsible in terms that is taking potential duty very seriously. It worked.
Yeah, and he's one of the only people in the entire universe that pointed out, if I inherit something, that means the people above me have died, like my family have died. So I don't want that to happen. There's probably a lot of purpose giving him that line, of all people.
There was, and it also shows whether the director and writer of last episode realized that here is a young man not controlling his own destiny, and being thrust in charge of something that he doesn't want, that he clearly doesn't want. So it happens to everybody in this system, and that's what Viserys tried to tell Rhaenyra too. It's like, we can father bastards all day long. You can't. because you're a girl. That sucks. But everything else, like, we don't have a fucking choice. We got to do our duty too. And Viserys got lucky finding a woman that he liked and that liked him. You know, that's a rarity in historical marriage that's arranged and in Game of Thrones. So
And he thought he was marrying for love again with Alicent then.
thought he was.
Thought he
Just because she fixed his action figure. Okay. That was just like
That's how he knew she was the one.
something my wife.
Hey, men have always loved it when girls play with their own toys. I mean, we've been trying to get them to do it since the dawn of time.
Damn, if it wasn't Shad saying that, I would have been like, you dirty boy. But it was like, oh no, wait, he means literally. Okay.
I mean, I've tried to get my wife to play Dungeons and Dragons, use swords and everything. I mean, I've made some good headway with video games, and so we've been able to play video games together, and that's awesome. I love that.
It's like some girly thing that my wife calls like love language or something. Like, I don't even know what it is.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, Jayne, you've never heard of the love language?
Yes, yes, I have. It's meaningful.
Rhaenys, after killing all the small folk, just decides to just drop on Rhaenyra. Oh yeah, your dad's dead, and they usurped your throne. Like, just like blurts it to a pregnant woman. You know, you know,
That's stressful.
a little stressful.
Yeah, like she also like has no idea how fast I'm gonna come after her. Like for all she knows, Aemon could be behind her with Vagar.
Yeah,
like I imagine she went there as fast as she could and has to tell them to get ready.
Well, that's why
kind of how I
she
saw
says
it
get off Dragonstone, right? Like right now, like leave.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's interesting the assumptions that Daemon makes from this conversation.
Oh,
He
yeah,
assumes that they killed Viserys.
Yes.
Interesting. But he also makes the correct assumption that you had the dragon, you escaped with him, you had the opportunity to fry them all. Why didn't you do that? And then that's when her answer, which I did not like.
And his hand was on Dark Sister the entire time. Like, you give the wrong answer, you're dropping.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
At least they addressed. I mean, they didn't address the small folk, but they did address why she didn't fry them. And it, like, I guess you could explain it that Rhaenys made a mistake, just made a big fucking mistake. But that's not how they're painting her in this show.
No.
They're painting her as like, no, she's the clever one.
She's the noble, nice one who made a good decision,
Noble,
really.
nice one.
So just to understand the overall context of her motivations, right? Later on, when she's speaking to her husband, who is it that says that they're going to declare for no one? Her or her husband? Wasn't it the husband that says they will declare for no one?
Yep.
In the beginning, yeah, Corlys says we will declare for no one, and then what Rhaenys says, she says, Rhaenyra is like the only one that's having restraint. We actually probably need to like stand with her. Like after realizing that, you know, it's not just this girl that I kind of maybe was a little bit jealous of when she was 14 years old and got named heir to the throne. I have come to respect her with everything we've come to know about her.
That's a fair interpretation.
They say she's holding the realm together, and it's the men who are trying to plunge the nation into war. And it's like,
Rhaenys.
Really?
It's so hard to take seriously when she says that.
I know. It's like, she cares about holding the realm together. I'll slaughter a couple thousand people needlessly, but yes, let's protect the realm.
And I also feel like the whole Daemon thinking that it was an assassination just was intended to play into him being the aggressor in the situation to justify it versus Rhaenyra being the one pushing to war.
But sorry, also Rhaenys is the one, like she says, Rhaenyra's holding restraint. Rhaenys admiring someone for showing restraint.
Right.
Yeah. As for Daemon's sort of reactions, it seems to me that you got the emotions of his brother being dead, but also I think he's been expecting that they'll kill Viserys, I think, this whole time. So
yeah, and he's like visibly upset that his brother's dead. That's really so.
But should he be that surprised we saw him?
He was on his deathbed.
Oh, of course, that's not, guys. Come on,
doesn't make it better. Yeah,
no. What I'm saying is,
but that's only
killed him. And it's like, it's actually a fairly reasonable inference to just accept. Yeah, he'll be upset, but Daemon, he was on death's door. Like, why are you jumping that they killed my brother thing?
But so it's double though. It's not just that he's dead; it's that he's dead and they didn't tell us, and they've crowned a new king. So
yeah, good point. Good point.
Yeah, that's what he's reacting to, and I think why a lot of that inherent rage and anger is right there, because obviously they're up to nefarious shit.
Yeah, and
because they should have
Rhaenys
been
says she
right
doesn't
away.
know the nature of the death, and then he just immediately is like, Viserys has been slain. Just full stop.
It makes no sense.
And
That does make sense. What do you mean?
No, I feel like what Ryan just said actually is a good explanation, that he might have accepted it was a death of natural causes, but the fact that he died and they crowned right away,
and they cried without sending a raid, no,
they didn't let them know.
And they wanted Rhaenys to be on their side. Did she explain the part where they imprisoned her?
Yes, she did. She mentioned.
I think she mentioned it.
How do you not poke at that as David? It's like they imprisoned you, but you escaped on Dragonback. How did that happen?
Yeah,
he did say that.
No, he asked why didn't she burn them?
Well, no, I think there was a question where he says, "How'd you get away?" or something.
That was kind of why it's like they had you in prison, like yet you're here. Like, how did that happen? And she asked,
I think he said that. I think he said something,
but it doesn't get answered, right? Like, it doesn't actually. She doesn't say with some bullshit. You wouldn't believe it.
She doesn't say I fucking killed everybody, but she said I think she said they held the coronation. No, because that was when she said they were holding the coronation at the dragon pits.
Yeah,
and
the reason why I wanted to dig is because it's suspicious as hell that she managed to pull all of this off and she didn't kill them. I would, if I was Daemon, I'd be like, what role are you playing? Like, what is this? This is very strange. You're not even willing to say that you're going to be, opting with us either. You're someone who had a chance to wipe them out, didn't. Were imprisoned, managed to escape, and now you're telling us all this. Like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm not sure what you're up to, Rhaenys.
Yeah, and Daemon was questioning her on that. And then I think when she tells him that it was at the dragon pit, that's when Rhaenyra, I think, interrupts and says, wait, you mean they did this like out in public in front of everybody? Now everybody has seen the coronation of Aegon. Like, and I think then that's where her side of the conversation turns, if I remember right.
Just, I'm at the point where I'm saying, any scene with Rhaenys in it, I'm like, back away, love.
I mean,
we can assume that Eric Cargill, who shows up later, could corroborate her story and say, yeah, I helped her escape, but then we got separated.
That would help, yeah.
Yeah, but Mauler's right. When Daemon asks her, and yet you're alive, or like you escaped, she doesn't answer. She just goes to, the High Septon crowned Aegon at the dragon pit. Use a dragon to get away. It's like,
and she goes on to not bend the knee to Rhaenyra.
Yep.
Right.
And she, but like that is where she says like that's where she gives her reasoning that I don't know exactly when it was in there, but why didn't you kill him or whatever? She did say something. The war was not mine to start or not mine to begin or something. So she does say that.
It wasn't hers to start, but she just started it by killing people before anyone else.
Nobody cares about the peasants.
I know.
Kill as many of them as you want.
You could wipe out several,
Game of Thrones,
village towns. No, but like,
under that logic, right? She could have wiped out several towns as long as no noblemen were dead. Oh, I haven't declared war. I have made no action of war. It wasn't my war to start. It's like, no, you literally wiped out a whole heap of. That's basically declaring war.
You want to be like,
King's
hey, writers, why was it a big deal that Daenerys like incinerated King's Landing? Then that was just little people.
Yeah,
and you could see them being like, well, that's different. And I'd be like, why is that different? Tell me why that's different right now.
the same Game of Thrones season 8 that even Macy Williams came out.
Even she now said it fell off at the end.
Wow.
I mean, they all knew it, but they felt like they couldn't say.
Well, you got to wait a couple of years before it's just like. So we all agree at this point, right?
I mean, don't you remember the cast on the carpet thing and the actress who plays yeah, she's like best season ever.
Yeah, Amelia Clark. Yeah,
it's so reminiscent of the Rise of Skywalker, like cast when they're like, "All right, tell us how it was, 3, 2, 1," and they're all just like, "Oh god, this is terrible."
They make all the horrible faces, and then it shows J.J. Abrams who's just like, "Oh god, what? Why everyone hates my movie? What the fuck?"
So this upsets Rhaenyra, and she starts going into labor. And we get another birth scene, and somebody was watching it with us, so I won't.
She goes into labor very early,
a month
from
early.
Stress, from stress, and so I mean, why isn't she asking for help in the labor? They make a thing out of saying, "My lady, let us help you," and she's like, "No, get stuffed."
It doesn't make
And
sense
also-
in the way they've set it up, but in the book, she's ticked off. She's so enraged that they can't help her. She refuses because she's going to have this child and fight her war.
Because
I thought,
I mean,
I was getting the
from what-
impression that she was like, this is weird, right? Because I don't think they wanted me to think this, but I thought for a moment, like, she's like, fucking baby, get out of the way. I got war stuff to do.
Kind of, yeah.
Get out,
You also gotta, like, well, us guys aren't gonna know, but it hurts giving birth. So sometimes when you're in a lot of effing pain, you're just like, fuck off, don't touch me. All right.
True.
Confirm.
It did seem like, because it seemed like the baby had the umbilical cord wrapped around its neck. They showed a close up of it, and that kind of is implying that she killed the baby by not getting the help to make sure it was a safer delivery.
Potentially, but I don't know if like it looked to me. I didn't want to sit there and look at it because honestly, it was just uncomfortable. It was supposed to make you feel uncomfortable, and I like with this like stillborn child.
Yeah,
like it was.
That had an impact on me.
It had a very big impact on me. And I knew it was coming. I did not expect that I would feel that way about it. And I think it handled some. You're gonna see a couple people like getting triggered on Twitter over this, like trigger warning. And it's like that's a rough situation to play out. And I feel like they did it in a way that was delicate yet also gave you an extreme guttural reaction. I don't think it's easy to do.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, and I think they portrayed it like her sorrow afterwards, cradling the baby. That had a lot of emotional weight, and you felt that.
Yeah,
but I thought that the baby's head,
it looked deformed.
It was dragon scaled. I thought.
Yes, they were trying to make it look twisted, like Daenerys' baby was supposed to look in
season 1, right?
Season 1, because there's a lot of references to when stillborn, because Targaryens obviously they're uncle fuckers, so there's deformations there, but they also some come out like with little dragon wings and big holes in their chest and sometimes little tails and stuff. So, and it has something to do with the Valyrian sorcery of their race. Possibly
the creepy experimentations from long ago.
Long ago, yes.
So I don't know if it was the umbilical cord or if that baby was like destined for that. That's kind of the way I saw it. It was dead.
That baby,
the deformed head does imply
that baby
was
going to die anyway. Yeah. So, or dragon fuckers. They could be dragon fuckers. Yes, I mean inbreeding. That's what I mean, Bunny. By
I should have just shown a tail. It would have been interesting.
That little foot, man.
It might have been too much for the average viewer. Like, because as you guys have picked up, that dragon scale sort of stuff is like, so the book viewers can be satisfied while the normie people can be like, oh, it was a stillborn.
Daemon's actions through it all, it's in line with his character. He's like, I've got war to do, don't like seeing her in pain, kind of thing. She's got to do her thing, I got to do mine. Because they ask that, that she needs his help, and he ignores it. But they show that he is still like, it affects him deeply because, when the baby's, he has to get out on his own and is distraught about it. Expressing it his way, and I was reminded of that line in the first episode where we grieve in our own way. I felt that was actually a good kind of way that they show that.
Right. Getting back to the business of war.
Yes, which you need to be in since your throne got usurped. You need to plan. You need to get some allies. You need to send some ravens. You need to get. They really mentioned House Stark a lot.
Well, I did feel like they said the three houses like a million times. They were like House Stark, House Aeryn, House Baratheon. Like they mentioned those three like a million times. And I don't know if it was Tully, Tully. Yeah, sorry. So I don't know if they were just really trying to make sure you knew that, or if it was because those names are familiar to us, or what.
They favorites from Game of Thrones. Come on.
Yeah, these were familiar names, but there are a couple of other houses too that they're supposed to be on a mission to recruit. But they do seem to be going back to the ones that we know and reinforce them for the next season.
And those are the ones that they need to go, that, you know, the kids need to go to. So
they mentioned Celtigar, the other Valerians. I don't think they did.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, maybe they will next season.
But there was another one at the table.
Yeah, there was. There is another Valerian house out there, folks, in case you don't read the books. So, but they're not. They're just a lesser house, and I think Ryan Kendall said that they are going to be in it, and the reason they weren't mentioned by Corlys is that he's kind of a dick. That he consider them true Valerians, even though they're not like Dragon Lords either, and never were. Once House Stark enters, war is over. Well, that's the thing. That's the thing, which I'll just leave it there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gary.
I'll shut up now. So there's Jace, and he's commanded by his mom. Don't let Daemon do anything. So
he appreciates that.
Yep. And he tells his uncle, you can't do anything, you can't send anybody, you can't go to war, not until Rhaenyra says something. Daemon's like, he does a lot of fine in this, and then he wants to give him a little lesson of loyalty. So they take the 2 Kingsguard that are there and see how loyal they are, basically.
I did like Jace asserting himself a little bit there. I mean, he always has been very princely and has been acting as the heir, but here she's deferred to him a little bit of authority to exercise, and he's done a great job.
Yep.
They do a good job building up Jace. I think he's a good lad.
And we skipped over a real small scene earlier where Rhaenys comes out to tell Jace and Luke that their mom wants to talk to him. We don't need to go back to anything, but just in that moment, Jace is like beating his brother, like they're fencing, and he's like beating the crap out of his brother, like demanding that he do better. And so that's just a little more insight into Jace and into Luke and how like his family's treating him.
Yep. And that was actually a pretty good scene right before they both get called in to talk to their mom.
Training with real blades, it looked like, again, small little thing. I was like,
But they are both really good fighters at this point too. I think that was downplayed a little bit on Luke's part, but he's actually quite good too at this point.
I think as well, the angle of having there's so much to balance that you don't even get to really sit with anybody's reactions to Viserys being dead for very long either. And I don't blame the show for that. It's like a literal in-universe thing. It's like he's dead. Now we got to sort out all this, and you get to. They try to give a bit of like room for that with each of these characters, because you're going to say Luke and Jace both get told your grandsire is dead, sort of thing, and even they want to have a moment. If you remember last episode, they had a moment for Aemond knowing that that's happened and stuff, and I just appreciate that, because I understand that in this universe, it's like you got to get over that quick. We got stuff to do, like. But hey, my boy Viserys getting a little more appreciation, a little more time. You always like that. Yeah,
well, I think they did that through Matt Daemon Targaryen.
Oh yeah,
yeah, he's upset just throughout the entire thing.
Yeah,
and wow, yeah, it goes a little far once, or
not far enough, depending on your perspective.
So the 2 Kingsguard are asked about their loyalty, and basically Daemon says, "Hey, you can bend the knee for Rhaenyra or die a clean death. It's up to you." And he's got his dragon right next to him. It's fucking great. I love it.
I mean, and then there was the third part as well, which is
exactly.
You know,
if
you
lie,
backstabbing us, like it's
you'll die screaming. Because
Like,
death by dragonfire, as we've seen in the show, it's pretty quick if you get the whole full blast. You prefer that to whatever Daemon's probably going to cook up for you if you betray him.
or you'll end up being cooked up for the dragon in a nice slow meal. Like the scene they took away from when Vaemon was killed, and they took him to the Silent Sisters. But what happened in the book was it was a nephew, and then they went to King's. The nephew calls them bastards, and then Rhaenyra feeds him to her dragon.
Who,
So
by the
that's-
way, was getting flashed in the scene where she's in most agony, and I think the idea there, of course, is that Cyrax is feeling a lot of what she's feeling. They've done little bits like that throughout the show. In the Crab Feeder episode where Daemon takes an arrow, they immediately show his dragon's the one that's screaming.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
in pain.
And his dragon, even during that fight too, his dragon waves its wing in front of the attacks too when they're flying around, as if they're moving in concert together, as if they have the same mind.
Yeah, I think it's showing you like the people that are truly bonded, like with their dragons and can control their dragons. Like Caraxes is totally under Daemon's control. Like you like like moving, like waiting behind, right? Waiting behind that rock and then waiting for the right time to like move over and intimidate.
He's done that before, yeah, with Caraxes.
Exactly. So they are very bonded with their dragons, whereas as we'll see later in the episode, it's not the same. You can say for everybody.
Takes time.
Well, this is like by the way, love all you guys. Opinions may differ, but I still always tune in. That's what it's all about, right? Ancient Mariner for $10. This is like normal discussion of a show. Like even if there is girl power stuff put in, there's stuff that contradicts it later, like a lot. So even like somebody tweeted at you, Ryan, or me.
Yeah, so someone tweeted us and they're like, "Oh, like look at this! It's like how the girls won the Game of Thrones," and it's like, how's that show going, guys? I'm like, oh, looks like you don't know how everything plays out.
Yeah. I mean, you don't really win the Game of Thrones. You survive, right? You survive. That's all. So there's if I can get this timed out right, we see there's Eric Cargill. He brought Viserys crown.
So my only question is this, did he get there too quickly? Like, because Thingo rode on a dragon, so she got there, maybe a couple of hours flying.
It's a day's sail. It's a day's sail.
It's not that long.
It's quite a few days have passed though at this point too.
All right. I can get it. And because I did feel it was a nice touch that he brought Viserys's crown specifically. I was like, ooh,
yeah,
I feel that.
Yep.
Well,
and this was another convenience thing where they swapped characters, but it works.
And also this scene is they've wrapped up the baby. They've wrapped up the baby and they're doing the funeral, and it's very reminiscent of Viserys watching his little baby in the fire pit along with his wife in the first episode. And then getting Viserys' crown right in the middle of that. And this is the worst point for her of her life, really, right? She's been like navigating herself and trying not to like ruin everything, trying to hold on to her position. And it looks like she's lost everything. She has nobody that's really loyal to her. She just lost a child in childbirth. And at that moment is where one loyal Kingsguard comes up and gives her father's crown. That was pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Nice touch.
Very nice touch.
What do you think he's thinking about when he stares at the crown here?
When he picked it up. I think, at least. I think because he picked this up in episode 8.
Yeah, my first thought was he's thinking about Viserys having worn it, and that this is settling in more and more that his brother's gone forever now.
Yep. And Rhaenyra being legitimate in his eyes.
That is like expeditious character work, like in it, because it was mentioned before that we don't get a lot of time for this set of characters to dwell on Viserys's death. So to have this moment to be used essentially for Daemon to be thinking about his brother, it's like all the while, you're still working on what you need to do with Rhaenyra and the broader objectives of this scene. That's like some really expeditious writing. It's really good.
And I think that is also thinking that the crown, might have been his at one point, but he then puts it on Rhaenyra's head, just like he put that same crown on his brother's head. That's him acknowledging that they are
This is the role that he plays in all of this. Yeah, he's not the king, and well, I guess we might be jumping ahead because that'll be something worth talking about later.
But that's what I love so much about it is I feel on the one hand that they're rushing through so much material, but at the same time, every scene matters. Every scene has weight to it. And the music in this entire scene.
Well, yeah, because this is the reprise of what seems to be Rhaenyra's theme, but at its boldest at this scene. Like it feels that it's most pronounced.
This is going to be the first new TV soundtrack I buy. I used to buy them. Like I'm a soundtrack junkie, right? In like 3 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's not out yet, but soon as it is, I'm going to get it. Hey, Robert McDonald for $50. Thank you very much. Says, too bad we got to wait 9.5 months to get this group back for another post-show critique. That is very kind of you to say. Yeah, we might get season 3 of House of the Dragon before we get season 2.
I know. Like 9.5 months isn't that long.
I was about to say that's a quick turnaround. I think, but also we might complete House of the Dragon before Winds of Winter comes out. So funny.
Don't say that.
4 seasons, yeah.
Hey Gary, how long has it been?
Oh, I haven't mentioned that. It's been
we can't forget
121 days since A Dance with Dragon, the last book in the A Song of Ice and Fire series. But hey, we're getting another fucking Targaryen coffee table book on day after tomorrow. So there you go. No, I'm not happy about that. I still want that money. All right.
He's gonna finish the books.
He's gonna finish a book. I think he might finish a book.
It might be Dream of Spring.
And I think Dream of Spring is a dream. That is a dream.
He's just gonna finish the last book, but he's not gonna finish Winds of Winter. He'll never put anything else. That's what'll happen.
Maybe he can release a Dream of Spring and it's blank, and he's like, "It's your own interpretation." You see,
it's like one of those Goosebumps, like follow, like make your own story. It's like, hey, for this, if you want to go forward, go to page 68.
There are fans writing the book,
Yeah.
the fan fiction of the book. It's happening. Like it's been happening for a long time.
Pretty good.
Like Barry, what would you do if he suddenly like came out like, I was playing you all, you thought I was working on one. They're both complete and they're going to be released a month after another. Like if he comes out next to you with that.
I'd be cool.
The best case scenario is that he's writing them together because he's done that before by accident.
He said, well, yeah, and he did say that like the last one, because once everybody's together in Winds, right? Because that sets up 2 major battles that leads to the end. So you're not introducing any new characters, no plot threads. It'll probably be more streamlined. So yeah, it'll probably only take him 7 years to write Dream of Springs instead of 11. But let's
too many damn POV characters.
Yeah, there's supposed to be no new ones in Winds either, except for the prologue, which is going to be Jayne Westerling. I don't think she's the POV, but she's going to be in it. So, Billy D. Shilliams says, "What's up? What's up?" Billy D. Shilliams for $9.99. So, yeah, this scene I thought this was a cool scene with the crown. I really did.
Beautiful shot.
Eric Cargill and Rhaenys isn't bending the knee. Everybody else is. But she's just kind of observing. What's that?
I just don't like her. I don't like what they've turned her into.
I'm not a fan of her either.
She needs to go away. So we get Aegon's table.
This was cool as hell, dude.
This was cool, yeah.
So cool. How they lit under it so you can light everything up and you see basically Westeros and the houses you need to get. And we get something telegraphed that's very cool in this scene. Book readers will know what I'm talking about when Daemon speaks and he says, well, we need to get.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He talks about like where they need to have a base of operations in Westeros. Yeah. Yeah,
he points it out too.
No, yeah, he straight up puts his hand on it.
He says it in Harrenhal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Need to get that Harrenhal, which is the biggest castle in Westeros, even though it's half melted. But
we also hear Rook's Rest.
Yes.
You can even draw all the drama back to Harrenhal. That's where Jaehaerys made Someone made that decision, eh?
Somebody did. I'm like looking at everything that's on this table right now.
Bad shit happens at Harrenhal. It's cursed. Like that's what everybody says. Like everybody who ever inherits it ends up fucking dying in some crazy way. Bad shit happens there. The tourney at Harrenhal was when Rhaegar started the rebellion, basically, by naming Lyanna Stark fucking the queen, not the queen, but the essentially like saying you're the most beautiful girl in the world when he won the tourney at Harrenhal.
Queen of Love and Beauty.
Queen of Love and Beauty. There it is. So that's when Robert's Rebellion started. So
yeah. Well, I mean, Aegon the Conqueror like had to go there too because Black Heron. He's the one who took out Black Heron, who was from the Iron Islands and just taking over Westeros. He took over the Riverlands. So you know,
and I think
I love
mentioning the Tullys, the Starks, and the Baratheons probably is nice for people who've watched Game of Thrones and don't know much at all about any of this, being like, "Ooh, I know them."
Yeah.
I understand.
I think it's good to show like you're going to see them at a different time. So like the Baratheons, kind of dicks, you know, and you'll see switch things. So.
And it's those are actually the big players too. Like it's not like they just made it up for the show. Like that's reality. Like that's how this story played out in the book as well. You know, those houses were the key. That's where they send Jason Luke.
Well, they're the liege lords of those regions, right? You know, Warden of the North, Warden of the West. Yeah. So they run the show. And you got to keep.
I do think they pump up the Starks a little bit more than they do in the books when they're initially saying like it'll take them forever to get here and all this. But
yeah, the Starks aren't like looked at. They are. I mean, they're formidable in the North, but they don't like the South. Doesn't take them seriously. They think they're savages, and they actually treat their people. The Starks are the like one house that treats the common folk with some sort of respect. So yeah, but they're off on their own. Like they're so far away, they're not even really thought about. And like Dorne is not part of the Seven Kingdoms yet. So
it's not really Seven Kingdoms.
It's not really Seven Kingdoms at this point, although they keep saying it.
Yeah.
I wonder if any Dornishmen's gonna come. Well, they do kind of plan later, maybe a little bit. Maybe they'll bring in a Dornishman. We'll see.
But it's a good scene here where they're like actually, it seems like logical planning and tactics and stuff, and not gobbledygook that a lot of shows don't when they don't understand how, you know, battlefield tactics and allies work and everything. This is one of the strengths I think is with George's writings that they're pulling from there. And then so one of the guys says, "All right, can we just speak plainly? It's not really about men; it's about the dragons." It's like,
yeah.
Yep.
And they're actually, I think it was actually really good because this is Rhaenyra for the first time comes in and enters in when everybody's there, and she's announced for the first time. Rhaenyra Targaryen, first of her name, blah 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 blah, and she has no idea what she's doing. Like she's very uncertain. She doesn't even know how to like tell people to stay without them following her, like marching around. She gets in front of everyone. She has no idea how to start off or what to say. She is very uncomfortable and unsure of herself.
Which doesn't make sense because she's been the king's cupbearer her entire life. She's observed these types of meetings and councils. She's very familiar with how this works. And they've taken that from her in the show.
But it's
war. I don't know. Yeah, they've not been to war going on like to this degree.
Yeah, Viserys was very much like didn't want to deal with that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like you know, he didn't even deal with it in the Stepstones. Fucking Daemon and Corlys had to go do it.
It's one thing to watch it, and that's another thing to be the key decision maker. It's like now it's on you to make choices here.
And Daemon's like all ready for it. He's all like, "We're gonna need to get dragons in the sky. We need to put people on point just in case any ships come in." Like he was on top of it. Having a lot of fun with it, actually.
Well, yeah, because he's like full steam ahead in terms of just, you know, concocting the plan. He's ready for war.
He's the battle commander. Yeah,
he's the battle commander, and it's gonna happen. Like all this restraint and all, it's going to happen. I remember it was Otto Hightower who told Alicent, "They're going to kill your children for the throne." He's going to do the same thing. He even said it last episode. "I'm going to kill their children," and Alicent's the one wanting to avoid that.
Well,
even
I guess it's the same for both of them, right? As becomes more apparent, right, that both Alicent and Rhaenyra would prefer for things not to go badly, and maybe that's foolish, maybe that's the mistake, is thinking that it's even possible for things to be resolved well. Like, especially when the persistent through line of the show is that no matter what you want personally in terms of maintaining the friendships that you have, or like not doing things that you find morally bankrupt, like the world keeps pushing in on you to essentially, of course you always have a choice, but like put as much pressure on you as possible to play the game, essentially.
So there's an interesting thing that I'm observing that starts with this scene, and it might be perfectly okay because it's actually a discussion of rule of cool over logic, and I think most people won't have this nitpick, which is why perhaps they did make the right choice. And it's when they're talking about all these houses that, that who will they side with, they don't mention the fairly obvious thing that the Greens will be sending their own envoys to prepare alliances to nearly every single house that they can connect with. Because if they acknowledge that, that means sending the two sons with those envoys could be absolutely stupid, because the Greens already have time on their side. They could have set up a trap to intersect.
No, that comes up in the meeting with Otto. He does.
He says we've already sent
the Ravens.
Yep.
Yeah, but I'm saying in this scene here, Daemon or Rhaenyra don't mention that the Greens have probably already sent envoys and they're going to be trying to sway these lords, because if they acknowledge that, it suddenly makes sending the two sons far more stupid. Because
it is supposed to be stupid. That's the whole point. In the book, it's a stupid move. It's a naive move. Sending, which we'll get to. But
that's what I mean. Is it too stupid for them to make? Shouldn't they have been already aware of that? And is that actually a flaw in the writing? I'm not sure, because I think you could justify it, because the whole reason why they don't bring it up is that they want that conflict. They want what happens to set everything off. And so it's a matter of actually purposely allowing a bit of stupidity to get the story where they want to go.
With Boris Baratheon, remember when she was seeing her suitors? So she probably just assumed, well, no, not probably. She assumed that the Baratheons would just be on her side because of the blood connection, which she mentions. And that doesn't necessarily happen all the time, but it can still be, done through naivete. Like
this episode is showing Rhaenyra to be naive.
Yes.
Right.
Like we saw her when she walked in there, she didn't know what to do. Like now she's just assuming that these lords will have her back. And I don't know who it was. Someone, I think it was Otto, that said, stale oaths or something. And these oaths were taken, freaking 20 years ago or something in the show.
Doesn't the Baratheons say like it's my dad's oath? Like they do treat it that way. It's like that's not my oath.
Mm-hmm.
They should have been preparing, though, when they saw the state that Viserys was in. He was on death's door. They should have been planning at that time, assuming that they would try to usurp their throne. She should have been aligning her allies from the very beginning. So it's almost like they're completely caught off guard, and it doesn't make any sense given what they saw, the condition that they saw in him before. In the books, at least, he had a heart attack, but here it's a slow death. So they've had plenty of time to prepare.
Well, in the book, they mentioned that they were Alicent was preparing for his death for a while. Like they do say that in the book. Like she knew what that infers in the book. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine, but she was planning on it, and that's where I think the mistake of last episode was not doing the one good thing the book did. Was the king was in his bed rotting for 9 days.
Yeah.
They didn't tell anybody. They didn't send any birds. They were thinking about it for 9 days until they did anything about it. So, I mean, the stink was getting through the castle, and it was.
I think as well, part of what they want to argue in the show, I think, is that most people expected everything to run. Like even Alicent in the last meal together was like, "You'll make a fine queen." I think there was an expectation. It's like, so we aren't going to fight over this. Yeah, everything's chill. Cool. We've all accepted I'm going to be queen. Okay, cool.
I agree.
That's why, they seem pretty shocked when they get this information.
Yeah. And that's what George does in his books. He sets up expectations. It looks like things are going to be cool, and then something goes sideways. That feels pretty natural for the most part. Hail Nerdrotic and Company. Been watching you guys for a while. Hope everything is going well for everyone at the moment. It is. Do you guys think that we might be getting more POVs from some other houses in later seasons? The Emperor protects. Yeah. In this show, yes. I think they're good. They've changed enough to where I think you'll get more Starks for sure. For sure.
I don't know if what do you mean about like POVs? But you'll have Jace is gonna go. He's gonna go up to Winterfell. You know what I mean,
I don't want to say much more.
Yeah,
I mean, book fans will know what I'm talking about. But yeah, Chapter Master Lucerys, thank you for the 50 Middle Earth dollars, my friend. Thank you.
Feels like this season was proof. This is all the proof HBO needed, probably, of like, oh, we'll be fine then. You guys go ahead. You can expand. You can have more sets. Because I don't know if you guys noticed, but if you think about the whole season, we had a lot of Dragonstone, a lot of King's Landing, and then it's like I've covered like 90%, I think, of the scenes. Like there was the Kingswood. You got a bit of tiny pieces of other places.
There were some one-off scenes that we don't. Oh, sorry, set pieces that we don't see much again, like when Rhaenyra was getting the suitors and that young guy killed the guy that was she was off in some other place. We didn't see that again.
We went to Pentos as well, I think, for a little bit.
Yep.
So I wouldn't be surprised if in season 2 we see a lot more globe trotting, for lack of a better term.
I mean, I'm a bit excited for that because I think the scenes and the castles, they really stepped up their game.
Damn it, they did. They did. Storm's End looked fucking.
Storm's End was so cool. In a storm.
In the book, I believe a messenger are supposed to be unharmed. Yes. When you go under peace banners, you're supposed to be unharmed. So Aemon committed a war crime just now. He did in the book and the show.
Well,
but in the show, plausible deniability.
Yeah,
but I mean, he did it. Yeah,
he did it. Like
I mean,
there was no intent.
Vehicular manslaughter.
Yeah.
Wait, are we talking about it now, or we're gonna wait until later?
We're gonna wait.
I think I don't know. I'm like. We'll have that discussion when they send the boys off, because I'm wondering if there is a bit of stupidity and naivete there if the Greens have gone this far, wouldn't they be thinking like all bets are off? All right.
I think we'll get there. There is one thing that's in the book with a character who isn't in this episode that I wish they would have shown. If they would have shown that, it would have made way more sense. And it's Alicent. Alicent's reaction to what happens at the end is equal to Rhaenyra's. It's fuck.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, which matches?
Everybody it's bad. It's very, very bad.
That could have helped, yeah.
Because now, I mean, it's completely on, and all bets are off. And what they tell you in the beginning of the book is this isn't like a normal war. Sure, there's wars in battlefields, there's pitch battles, but it's also fought in the skies, in the castle hallways. There's poisonings, there's backstabbings, betrayals. Everything we expect from Game of Thrones. And that's what's going to happen. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. Everything's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. Like Alicent will just. Rhaenyra will just get over it, and Alicent will just stop, and everybody will be cool.
No going back.
No, there's no going back. So this whole planning, this sets up a lot for next season, a lot. And freaking Matt Smith is so good in this episode, dude. Like he ruled this episode.
As bad as the Rhaenys ending was, the worst thing about episode 9 was that Daemon wasn't in it.
Yeah. Well, you notice it, an episode without Patty and Matt Smith, and it was, I understand why they focused on the Greens. I wish they would have mixed it up a little more though.
I like the reality of it. The idea of doing episode 9 as all green focused and what they're doing, then this one's all black focused. It's an interesting concept. I probably would have liked it to be more mixed, I guess. But.
Yeah, because now we got to wait till next season to get reactions to the end, which I think. As a director, I mean, as somebody who watches shit, I understand why they ended it there. It does have more. It has a ton of impact But
you could have done a parallel scene of as Daemon's walking into the room. You could have someone else walking into a room that Alison's in, then cut back, cut forward,
identical
cut back,
framing as well. Like if you had the camera panning in the same frame
Right.
of them in the center, and then you cut from
Alison
Alison's expression to
crushed.
Rhaenyra's.
Yeah, Alison absolutely crushed. Maybe even like falling down in his seat or whatever, being like, "Oh no!" And then cut back to Rhaenyra just fucking fuming at the screen, sort of thing.
that last shot was good. That last shot was good. It was really good. I love how they ended this.
They probably thought it would have been repetitious because we get that face on Aemond of pure shock and horror. And what have I done?
I mean, it would have been powerful. Imagine Aemon was the one who has to tell her mother what went down, and then her reaction to him, like, you screwed up so much.
I think it might be as simple as that they wanted one episode that was strictly the perspective of the Greens, and then one episode that was strictly the perspective of the Blacks. Like to have that focus, so and to have that be like very much the case for both episodes. And not get breached at all, because I guess it kind of highlights, right, like the rift that exists between these two groups,
and the guest appearances, so to speak, of Otto and Aemond are both, in someone else's POV scene,
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody's gonna be wanting that Aemond versus Daemon.
I'll just take more Aemond scenes and Daemon scenes. Just give me more. Both of them.
I honestly thought in this scene here that this was going to be Otto's end, and Daemon was just going to go nuclear and they fry everyone.
Oh, it should have been.
Daemon wanted to go, man. Daemon wanted to go hard, so
he did. I think they rallied on the scene because when it first started, I was watching it with Mauler, Fringy, and another really cool person, and we were all saying like, "Just kill him,
just kill him, wipe him out."
Kind of the thing, I understand. I imagine it's like, well, yeah, but Otto is like a named character, like he's a main character, so we would want him here. And then the parallels,
and you got to also think about like how the realm would see that, how other lords would see them.
Well, yeah, it's
treating for peace.
I understand, like from you could say maybe a meta perspective of like the reasons why they sent him, but like in universe, it should have been someone else. Shouldn't have been him. I don't know what was achieved by him going.
Just to get rye bread OnlyFans in the scene. That's.
I think also it may have been that another sort of parallel between this envoy and having a character of significance who could have been killed very easily but wasn't, who was spared in the name of guest rights or what have you, and then to have the scene that we see later where we have another envoy with a very important person, and it doesn't quite go the same way.
I understand many meta reasons and even some narrative reasons why Otto is here, but I don't buy it. I don't think they would have sent him.
Same
and
way. Too dangerous.
They don't. It's the Grand Maester.
Yeah.
It was legit enough, by the way. The Grand Maester, even probably more legit than the Hand, because he would be seen as neutral, even though he's.
When he calls on the Grand Maester and he brings out the page, which is really cool, by the way. That's all the way back in episode 1. That was neat. But you know what he calls him? I thought when she took the Hand of the King pin and threw it, that he was like Grand Maester, and he just replaced.
Give me another one.
That would have been great.
That would have been good.
You think I don't have hundreds of these?
I have backups to my backups, lady.
It would have been interesting though to see which. It would have been cool to see which version was right too, because we don't know how that Maester actually handled that situation. Two totally different tales.
The Maester and the Septon, who are bigger characters in the books, are just background in this. And there she is. So they wanted to mirror the scene from the first
episode 2,
and that's fine. It worked.
Rhaenyra was on the back of a mountain back there or hill, whatever, just crawling, and she was listening real hard for when they heard it. She was like, there's my cue. They said my name. Woohoo, here I go.
She's like, all right, just count to 300 slowly while we walk down there.
Yeah.
And as they're walking down, they're like, "Oh shit, we're going too fast. Hold on."
Hey,
tie you shoe.
What if she took off too early and she was just circling, waiting for her cue?
Yeah, and he's like, "Where is Rhaenyra?" And then David is like, "Well," and then looks around. He's like, "She's here, definitely." Rhaenyra, what the fuck?
I think Cyrax was actually listening. She was waiting to hear the word.
I think Emma, Millie was very good. She was very good as Rhaenyra. I think Emma Darcy did a good job this episode.
I think it actually fits. Like you look at, it is almost these two different people. The person who is named like the Realm's Delight, like that's Millie, and like you can understand that. And I think she exudes that. And then this is not that same character. Doesn't look the same. Isn't received the same by other people. Kind of works.
It does.
Yeah, I think it does. I'm a big fan of the age up for everybody, pretty much. Very happy with Olivia Cook. That's her name, right? The other one for Allison. She's been fantastic in everything she's seen her in as well.
Yeah.
For the show.
She is the Black Queen now. Snakes and Funerals. And again, the effects in this episode were freaking great.
How do the dragons look so good? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like
amazing.
Yeah, let's talk about Vermithor.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was rad.
Those teeth, man.
King Jaehaerys old dragon. And these are things you got to kind of go dig for and look for. But there's a bunch of dragons. There is a bunch of them.
They named all of them, I believe.
They did.
And that's a really important thing. And I think I don't know who it was that brought up like the tactical planning that they were doing when they named like all of those dragons. It's a big deal in the book, and all of them, all of them matter. Like there's a reason they're mentioning them now. And so I think it was really good that they did that.
Did they mention Sheep Stealer?
They mentioned the three. They mentioned the three wild dragons that reside here on Dragonstone. That's what he said. So they didn't name them though.
Okay. One of them's a cannibal. You'll find out. Yeah, cannibal is neat. A riderless dragon who's really
Call it Hannibal.
Call it Hannibal. Mikoi for 20 Australian dollars. Oh, some shad funny money. This has been
upside down money.
Upside down money. Spends good though. This has been the only show in years that I've looked forward to each and every week. Love your coverage. Love all your guys' work. Shad, my missus loves your brother, and I thought I was listening to him when I was watching one of your videos.
Jazz is awesome. Yeah, I love my brother, and so makes arty videos. Not many people. It's funny. It's people always get surprised when they find out we're brothers. They're like, "What?" But yes, we are.
Oh, there you go. I saw Dahmer in there. I'm not going to watch Dahmer. I'm not. I don't care how great it is. All right, so let's go. I think that guy got way too much attention. So Otto brings terms, and yes, they show the page that was ripped out of the histories book by Alicent, and it really by Rhaenyra, and Alicent sent that with the Grand Maester. So Otto, if his negotiations were going poorly, I assume, just a reminder that they on their friendship. Could you think about this?
I think it's worth noting Otto's got much more patience in this scene than we've ever seen with him treating with especially Daemon, and specifically because Otto really wants him to just not go to war. It's like, just accept we win. Okay, come on now. Like we got all the stuff, okay? Please, just don't go to war with us.
I'm not gonna kill
you. They've got the dragons.
Yeah.
Otto wanted to do more. He wanted to like assassinate and wipe them out. Like, gotta,
Well, yeah, to make sure no war would happen. Right, that's the whole idea with that, is to just crush them well before they can do anything. He wanted to send the King's Guard to go and assassinate the whole family, right?
Yeah,
and maybe he got.
It's interesting because Daemon actually commands everybody immediately. He says, "Get people on all around the island," because the first plan they'll have is stealth, which is true. That's what Otto's first plan was.
Yep.
I still feel Otto is being a bit provocative here.
Otto, he just lives to be provocative. He probably doesn't even know he's being provocative when he's being provocative. He's just kind of an ass, but like one we like, because a damn good actor right there. So
he is a well-written ass. This is true, very well written. But
Everything that happens is his fault.
I'm just glad he didn't die, so I get a little more of him whenever that'll happen, because I feel like he is not surviving this story. Don't spoil it.
Don't spoil it, but I feel he deserves to die.
Otto lives happily ever after. He takes a new
all
wife.
his fault.
He takes a new wife, and he gets the high tower, has many children.
Otto becomes king.
Yeah, of the world. Takes over Essos.
King of the world.
Yeah.
I agree, Chad. I think his demise is earned, but good God, I'll take every last seed I can get of him.
So I love this. We have Kingsguard versus Kingsguard, but no Harold Westerling. Harold West. I like that Graham McTavish is still alive because Harold Westerling dies in the book, and I think Graham McTavish is a fucking great actor. So,
do you think they're gonna bring him back, or is he just gone now? I expected him to show up. I half expected him to show up on this episode.
I did too, but I think he's going to be Barristan Selmy, and come back next season at some point.
A guy with a hood, and then he'd be like
stops a little scorpion.
Yep.
Every time I get reminded of Barristan Selmy, I want to kill someone.
I know, dude.
That ending for that character was so wrong.
One of my favorite characters in the books.
It's not fair. I remember Game of Thrones fans being like, it was a pretty good death. He knocked out a whole bunch of people before it. I was like, don't.
Just shut up. Yeah, no, that was a terrible death. The actor who read the books and loved it was begging to stay on the show.
So mad.
And the guy's like a legit actor too. It was like, ugh.
Dan and Dave are like, LOL, no.
Dude.
Let's get him out of the way. Barristan, nobody likes him, whatever.
I think you'd have a better chance of Five Monkeys putting out a better script if you put JD Payne, Patrick McKay, and Dan and Dave together to write another script. Like, I can't believe that they're getting anything. I know.
I think Patrick McKay, whatever, the Rings of Powers ones, they kicked it up a notch in bad. In terms of writing bad. The dialogue was just so awful.
Do you want to be sad, fans?
You want to be sad?
I'm gonna make you sad. So you know that movie Dune that everybody likes? I mean, I'm okay with it, but everybody one of the screenwriters was supposed to write Rings of Power, was up for writing Rings of Power before JD Payne and Patrick were there in the picture. Yeah. Oh well. What could have been?
Just so you know, Gareth, you had said originally the writers were going to be a dice roll and a shot in the dark of a random person off the street. I'd have been like, that is so sad, because that would be so much better.
Yep.
It would have been so much better.
If we would have allowed the chat to just write the Rings of Power in the chat, it would have been better. Okay.
A series of polls, like, where does this character go? And then they just vote out of
Take
4
turns,
options.
Yeah. We'll just throw up polls and just write it that way. It would have been better. But yeah, there was somebody, and the guy, and the guy knew his shit. That's the thing, is the guy really knew his shit. Now, knowing your shit doesn't really matter, because apparently JD Payne knows his shit, not Patrick McKay, but JD Payne does. Speaks Elvish and all that. That doesn't matter all the time.
Apparently it doesn't know.
So yeah, this face-off scene, little questionable why Otto is here, but it worked itself out. It's one of those things that I'm like, I don't know about this, but it worked itself out.
I think it's fine. Yeah.
It was fine. Yeah.
It looks great right there.
We will allow it. You understand? How's the dragon people? We're allowing it. Okay. we are your lords.
You know what we didn't do? We didn't watch the post-show recap where you're going to go up with your words. Just
your words.
Stop the post-show recaps explaining stuff, because I think a lot of times this was brought up when we were watching it. The actors probably don't even watch this shit when they're done. Most of them don't, and the hired on-hand directors and writers who are part of the room, who aren't being observed by Ryan Condell, who is the showrunner all the time, probably miss a few things. Even like, it really feels like that, because a lot of times we hear what they're saying and we're like, man, I did not catch that in the show at all.
Or it flat out contradicts what happens in the show. They just try.
they
But
try and
sometimes it
co-opt it
sounds
to
like-
actually push a narrative and agenda. And it's like, that's not in the show.
I mean, not only is it not in the show, it's not in the story. Sometimes it seems like they haven't even talked to George, let alone read the rest of the script that other people wrote. It's
Like
utter
George
confusion.
George is George. All right. George likes his tomboy girls. Like there is an archetype like Arya Stark. There's like 9 of them in every one of his fucking stories. There's this girl who's a tomboy who can hunt and ride horses and is quippy and is good at everything and has some plot armor. Now, sometimes they die, but most of the time they have plot armor because, yeah, that's like a George fetish. And nobody's going to knock a guy for having a fetish in his books. But it's old and tired. There, I mean, like
what about Lara Strong's fetish?
Hey, everybody's guess. Yeah, I don't know about that one. I have no explanation for it whatsoever.
But that's
but hey, the bronze
that's
bitch
what's
kind of qualified for what you were just describing there, and she got insta killed. Pretty much.
She got insta killed. But she is straight up Arya Stark. And I mean, Jayne, how many are there?
There are tons, but that's what's so frustrating is because he does write quote unquote strong female characters. You have all the material you need for that. And here they have the opportunity to push that and they back away, at least up until this point. It just seems like a lot of time wasted and a lot of character development.
Exactly. And his characters fuck up a lot. Like,
sorry,
like
I just
even
love that Jayne is the most critical of the female characters in this show.
It's like everything is the fault of men, and why?
Because women just hate women all the time. See, we're right. Right. Jayne's like, I like a woman.
You know what? I like women too.
I like women.
I'll be controversial.
No comment.
Of course.
You guys.
It's just all the women are weak and pathetic, and I just that's not.
Dude, that face on Daemon.
No,
yeah, dude,
that is a great shot right there. That is a fucking great shot.
He's getting pissed at her. It builds and it overflows at one point.
Oh yeah, he puts up with a lot of her decisions for a while, and then something happens.
He's like, you had better not agree to this. I will kill you right here.
Yeah. But his line where it's like, I'd rather feed my children to the dragons than have them carry the cup to. I was like, I forget the exact line, but it had.
There will be no agreement. There will be no concessions.
I think that's the problem. It's like, as much as yes, peace, woohoo, but like there's so many characters on both sides that are never going to accept the compromising.
And he understands that. I mean, that like they might try to push this as some girl power moment, but no, it's her being kind of dumb and has to learn. Like, this dude's been to war, and he's a little brash and he understands like the like this is this world. You two could, even if they work something out and they have some understanding, eventually Aemond, one of the heirs, is going to kill each other. That's going to happen. It's too late. Can't unmake the soup at this point.
We saw it happen in episode 8. Like, everybody was happy for a second, but then the sons who you have trained to be this way, you have done this to them. Your leadership, your parental guidance has made them want to absolutely eviscerate each other now. And it's too late for them.
It is.
And
it's the poison of, I mean, clearly Rhaenyra's the better mother, even though she dad isn't around. And Kristen Cole could be Jace's dad. I mean, I guess it's possible.
I think the timing is right.
I asked that from the beginning.
To his brother, isn't he?
Yeah, I know you did, Ryan. And I wasn't sure, but now I kind of think he is. The way they cast him, I was like,
he looks a lot like him.
It's a lot like Kristen Cole. Maybe they did that on purpose. We don't know.
We did not see her drink the tea.
We did not see her drink the tea. There's Otto.
I think it'd be a cool wrinkle. I wouldn't be mad if they did that. I think it'd be cool.
I wouldn't either. Just got to give credit to the person who lights candles on this show. You work your ass off.
No, seriously. I get annoyed when you see
torches in sconces on the wall everywhere. It's like, no, the main way they lit their interiors was with candles. And it's actually a more authentic thing historically, and I love it. I think.
Yeah, what if they had the is they're called braziers, right? And if they had braziers and the torches, wouldn't you just like choke to death in your freaking room if it wasn't well ventilated?
So interesting. I have a video on torches and stuff, and so sometimes they did have torches in feasts and everything to get more light and stuff, but they weren't always the best, because to have them like burn for a while, they actually the regular torch on a stick is no, they had these big long kind of torches. Imagine a tiki torch, you know about them, don't you, Ryan? They're really long.
I'm familiar.
Yeah, familiar. And they have like a lot of material to burn down on, but then they also leave ash and crap on the ground. And there's a case actually where I think it was the king in one of his feasts wanted to perform on a display, and he put pitch on him and put fur on him to dress up as these animals, and they jump out to do this performance, and one of the torches set him on fire and they burnt to death. Real thing historically. And so yeah. But they
sounds like a Game of Thrones story.
It does actually. It's like
that'd be
weird things happen historically.
Hell of a way.
So most of the time it's candles, and torches, large torches did come in if they wanted more light, but they are the exception.
Well, they have, if there's an award for lighting candles, this show should win it. So this is the little, we need to have a chat. She asked for the room to be cleared when we think Daemon's bloodlust gets a little high, and she's
the atmosphere of this almost is like she wants him to be aware that some of her decisions here are being made with something on her mind, something big and important.
Yeah, so
he was openly disrespectful to her and like clapped back at her in front of everybody.
And it looked like it was going to be a girl boss moment where she's going, "Listen to me," but it wasn't. It wasn't. It was a, "Hey, I've got to tell you something." Something that she's not supposed to tell him.
And she thought he knew.
That she thought he knew, and he didn't.
Because Lucerys told her a bullshit story about every fucking heir knowing about A Song of Ice and Fire, even though like the first several kings were all fucking contested, all hate each other and like kill each other. Never happened. That I don't like the whole heir Ice and Fire song. I don't like it.
No, they needed to figure out a better way to tell, especially since it gets lost through the ages. And even if Alicent even half heard it, once she mentioned, well, she didn't mention if the Grand Maester might know something of it, maybe, because it's Rhaegar who finds out at the Citadel. That's what we're assuming how he found out about it. All right,
I was just going to say, I could kind of understand Damon's reaction on several levels to this. She's basically saying, hey, there's darkness coming from the north, all right? We need to make sure everybody's together when we fight it. And he reacts very badly to her even beginning to explain that they should probably build their tactics on the thought that in the future a mystical bad guy might come and kill them. Which, if you're at the height of a beginning of a war, this is the last thing you want to be fucking hearing as part of the battle plans.
It also didn't work the last time she tried to explain this to a lover. I mean, she tried it with Kristen, and he was just like, "What?" and walked away.
It sounds absurd. Like, what are you talking about? It's like, it's a dream. And you're like, oh, that makes it better.
Yeah, I do think his reaction here is like legitimate. Like, the fuck are you talking about? Like,
he's had enough. He's had absolutely enough of this shit.
Yeah.
Well, at first he thinks what does he say? It's like a bullshit history, right? Are you listening to my brother's fantasies and blah, blah, blah. But then it kind of sinks in. By the way, he chokes her. If you didn't see, he chokes her. But then she like susses out that he didn't tell. He's pissed that he didn't tell him.
That's the other dimension to this.
The other dimension. He's pissed for a lot of reasons. I think you're right, Mauler.
Well,
it's everything.
It's interesting what he says directly after grabbing her throat. He says, "My brother was a slave to his omens and portents," and is just like, "Don't you go down the same path, don't you?"
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Because there are.
Yeah,
Sorry, I was just saying
those three angles all at once, which is why this is really strong. But Karen,
yeah,
He loved his brother, but there were things he hated in his brother too. And he's like, don't you dare, be like
But his
that.
brother did have accurate dreams. I mean, the series did have a dream of a son with the Aegon the Conqueror's crown, just not the way you expect.
Yeah, that's true. But that's this whole episode. He's getting mad because Rhaenyra is being Viserys. Like that's what he sees. The same fucking mistakes. The same because he was arguing with his brother forever about what should happen when he was actually part of the political system. Ends up going to Pentos to get away. Gets dragged back in, and now he's like having to sit on the sidelines as second fiddle again and watch the same exact thing happen.
And he's going to have to do a lion's share of the work. I mean, he just is. So that's got to be kind of a pisser.
But it's just
$10. Ask real quick. Just asking for your opinion of just asking for the opinion of the panel. Which episode was the worst this season, and why was it episode 9?
Rainy.
Rainey's, yep. Episode 9.
Pretty much.
I will say no Patty and no Matt Damon, or not Matt Damon, but Matt Smith
Damon.
Matt Damon
Targaryen.
Yeah.
But what I did not like about this was that they built up the situation where she's been the victim of men's choices. And now they're playing this like she's an actual domestic violence victim as well. I mean, that's how that's going to be interpreted.
I do know there's a lot of fucking people that are going to freak out about this. That'd be like, oh my gosh, Daemon, who's supposed to love his family, he choked her.
Yeah.
He would never kill her. I would even go as far as saying he probably would never hurt her. This is the closest he probably get, right? Like he's furious at this because this could destroy everything.
Also, it's interesting what people say. Now, what he does is bad. I'm not excusing this.
Yeah.
But what do you think he would have done to a man? Okay. Like if he's to a man that is this pissed off with and stuff, he would have punched him. He would have Daemon is a violent person.
He did something to a man who delivered a message from his brother that was a message of help. And he almost beat him to death. So
exactly. And so
this is the equivalent
in his own twisted way. In his own twisted way, is actually treating the woman better than he would a man, right?
It's a fantasy set in the Middle Ages. This shit happened.
To me, this was the equivalent of a slap. It's like it's like getting her wake up. You know what I mean?
Rhaenyra would have said something. She would have responded.
Like she couldn't breathe.
I think she was blown away that he did this and had to think for a while probably about everything that just happened because this is a big move from Daemon. He usually just takes her orders sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But I guess this is his way of saying, don't you fucking dare bring in the crazy nonsense dream shit. Bad enough you can make decisions because you're feeling nice, but don't do it because spooky ghosts are going to get us later on.
And she realizes and says what he's feeling too, that he didn't know this, which is just one more thing. Like as he's grieving his brother and still being irritated that he's seen his brother in Rhaenyra, now he learns that his brother never, ever actually considered him the heir.
Yeah.
It was always just waiting for another person to pass it on to. And
that seems to be what her mind is focused on. She's realizing what their relationship was, even at their height.
Yeah.
And so is he. So they're both very, it's all very awkward.
And that's way more sad than a woman getting choked.
Just on your point, Ryan, if people are going to freak out of that, it's like, oh, it's horrible, a man abusing a woman, which is bad and everything. It's like, all right, how did Daemon treat the messenger? Okay, and stuff. It'll just be
no
interesting.
victim.
Hopefully, we agree it's all bad and everyone should
all
be
bad.
killed.
That's exactly. But they're
gonna
react.
Slice the dude's head in half last episode or 2 episodes ago.
They'll react to how he treated Rhaenyra as the big crime, awful thing Daemon has done when he's done a lot worse. But we know that there's a unbiased perception on women.
Daemon's not a great guy. I'm assuming everyone's clear on that one. He's kind of an asshole.
Not a good guy. We're at Corlys Valerion, and we'll get through this quickly because this.
Okay. Question. This threw me. I was like, What did she go to Driftmark? I thought he was going back to Driftmark, and then I realized is that
Dragonstone. Yeah.
Why is he here?
He has to be there. We're at the brink of war. I mean, it kind of makes sense.
No. They only just found out. Like it's only a couple of days.
No, they
after.
said he was on his way. They said he's dispatched his way, and he was on an island that was close. Yeah.
Okay.
And but he's going to get his lady wife. See, the thing is, again, in the books, he doesn't take off on her for 6 years. He does it. So that was something inserted for the show to show another husband abandoning his wife. Like everything with Rhaenys is kind of fucked up. All right. Like she's forced into the story too much.
She was not the person that was passed over in Fire and Blood. It was Laenor.
Yep.
So
right. Laenor was passed over. She was a person that was passed over. A person they had 14, 15 claimants. And she was in the final 4 or something, but it was her son that was passed over.
Yeah.
But like what they do try to say in the book is if they didn't have the male rule, she was the closest living and oldest living relation to King Jaehaerys.
Right. So the queen never was.
But Corlys just like, hey, we don't want to announce for anybody, which just it's not what the book and first like he's ready to go.
That's my point. They keep taking away the positions of the male characters and switching them to the female characters.
I think what I'm disappointed about with this scene is he's been out of the picture for a while, and now there's like a lot of developments that have happened that happened while he wasn't present that I would have really liked to get a lot of his perspective on, but I don't think we got.
Yeah,
I think we glossed over a lot of potent drama.
Well, we get your brother's dead. Oh well, he was overly ambitious.
Yeah, pretty much. And we don't really touch on the fact that that's the end of the line, basically. Like that's it.
At
least
least should be
from his
huge as a deal,
right?
And it should be something they discuss in this room privately. That's
it doesn't need to go beyond the room, but it would have been nice to get more of his perspective on it. But we didn't get it.
This is we did talk about like the potential of having Corlys react to his brother's death, and we were saying like it could make him go either way. It could be that he just says, "Well, my brother was an idiot," and that's kind of what we get. He's like, "Yep, my brother got himself killed," and it's like,
oh well,
feels a little cop outy because we need him to be doing certain things this episode pretty quickly. I was just like, "Oh, we could have really." You do get that he walks in here and he's like, "No, Daemon, hello," like as if like because of course. We would get some probably good looks from him and Daemon at least, but we didn't. Yeah, Daemon's not here. So.
And then they made the decision to make him a brother and not a nephew. So if you're going to make their relationship even closer of a bond, you would expect a greater reaction.
Yeah, they did that.
I think it might just be a lack of time. They're like, well, they have as much time. I figure that because of course you can make different choices in terms of what scenes you want to have, but yeah, it seems to me it's like, oh, let's get moving. All right, we got to get back to.
Brother has more impact than nephew.
Maybe they wanted the inheritance to seem very clear. It should be him, whereas like a nephew, maybe not so much, because what they've done in this show with like the kids and their lineage. They've really like exaggerated it more than I think a lot of us felt like when we were reading the books. In the books, it felt like when you looked at Rhaenyra's first 3 kids, it's like, yeah, they kind of look like Harwin's-Strong. But I mean, who knows? I mean, sometimes Targaryens do have dark hair, like that happens. But in this, it's like, no, everybody knows because they have brown hair and they're white. Like everybody knows because of that. So maybe they just wanted to make it even more clear.
Yeah,
it should have gone to him.
And Rhaenys doesn't have dark hair, which would have been the excuse.
Yep,
right.
And that's maybe why they changed it. Who knows? So Corlys comes in and basically pledges fealty to Rhaenyra after asking a couple of questions and checking with some allies.
But it was kind of funny though that there's this vibe of like, ooh, who's he going to announce for? Who's he going to? And I'm just like, well, I mean, if he says like, I'm gonna play for the green
in this room,
yeah, like he's dead. Well, he's in trouble at this very least. So
I mean, I thought he still might have said, we are not going to, show fealty to anyone. You guys can kill yourselves. I'm going back home. See yas.
And they wouldn't do it.
Could have pulled that off.
Yep, I suppose so. Yeah.
He declares, and then he reveals an important tactical thing that he now has. Is it the stepstones?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I at least they justified his absence for those 6 years. He did achieve something. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
He did what Daemon didn't, right? But he could have done as well because he was part of the first one and maybe learned from his mistakes. And they have a garrison there, and now they completely control it, and they can choke out King's Landing. They can run a blockade, which is going to be a big problem for King's Landing. So they have a huge tactical advantage while not having very many men, which another lord points out, like dragons.
And can I just like point out, like, this is actual some logical, legitimate tactics that make sense. And you see the map and you're like, oh, look at the geography. This is playing in. Compare this to the brain, you know, big brain logic of, oh, the base doesn't have shields because no one would be so arrogant to try and, you know, infiltrate it or some bullcrap like that.
I know.
And that's unironically what's in Obi-Wan Kenobi to explain the tactics. It's just like, one is just such stupid, moronic crap. And then look at this. Oh, something that's smart. You know?
Hey, even in what might be thought of as a throwaway line from last episode when Tywin Lannister mentioned that they took the gold from King's Landing and they put it in 4 places. They got some of the gold with the High Towers, some with the Lannisters, some will stay at the Red Keep for bribes and everything, and then they take a quarter of it and send it to Braavos, where nobody can get to it unless you're the king. Like that's a very smart move. You don't leave any of your damn gold around. And even if somebody does take over the castle, maybe, you never know, they don't have shit. So like it's the little things that George thinks about, like how do they pay for swords? You know, that gets mentioned. How do they feed people? You know,
it makes the world feel more real, and I love those details.
Someone I was curious about is the transport ships being stopped so that they wouldn't have as many supply shipments, what have you. Is there anything ever in any books of anything to do with this in any history that you guys can think of that they've used dragons seriously to, you know, transport goods? Because I'm thinking of like an enormous series of crates or something, and then covered up by a net, and then the dragon just picks that up with its feet. And someone like Vagar, for example,
use it like a helicopter.
Yeah, like you could do incredible supply runs with the dragon, surely.
You could.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of it.
I'm sure, like somebody in the chat will
maybe
go,
How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah.
But like not. You're right. I mean, like strategically, I think it does. Like, I think there's some validity to it. But
I feel like you need a lot of foam padding in those crates. Like if you
they would get tousled around.
Yeah,
and you know, maybe the dragon would just drop it because it wasn't listening.
Oh, that would suck. Maybe strap it to him at that point. Those
or just put it in a little crate that's got some wings on it, attach it to its tail or something. It's like,
from what we,
if
they accept I mean, it would work possibly, but we've seen them shake things off of their backs that they don't want on there. So if it's unfamiliar to them, it may not work.
I'm not just imagining a freight train, but in the air, and it's a dragon, and it's just like 3 kilometers long with a whole bunch of cars.
The trains of the skies.
Yep. Run, it's Godzilla for $20. Says, sorry about your Padres, Gary. Nobody likes the Phillies. Let's go Astros. I mean,
Astros
there would
just won, swept the Yankees.
There would be, I think the Astros are going to win, by the way. There would have been a time where I would have been devastated that the Padres lost. I used to like care that much. I'm a more detached fan now where I can enjoy it. And plus, I'm from San Diego. We're used to losing. We just are. We lose our teams. So we lose the Clippers, we lose the Chargers. We just fucking lose. It's all right.
I think after getting Fernando Tatis suspended, I think that NLCS was more than I think a lot of Padre fans expected after that loss. So it's kind of bittersweet, but yeah.
Oh, if we had them. Well, we need arms. We need arms. Clearly, pitching wins championships, defense wins championships. Dragons don't necessarily win ones, but they was really good. So he pledges fealty to her, and then
they need to get messages out. Yeah.
Yep, they got to get messages out. They need to get them out faster. So Jace suggests forget Ravens, we'll go on dragons. This is naivete by Rhaenyra. This is just stupid and naive. And
why would you risk your prince's lives?
I'm not like, and to me, if anyone is thinking logically about this, the Greens have had more time than them. They've clearly sent envoys to these really important houses. And if the Greens are being smart, they would think, okay, who are the first people that Rhaenyra would want to contact? These really important houses. Yeah. Is there any chance that they would be dumb enough to send, someone important, like on a dragon? Well, if they do, we could set up some obvious, some traps. And if they're obvious or not, I think the people in that room, someone would have had that thought and say, "What do you mean send the
It
princes?"
deserves addressing. Whether or not you can headcanon reasons for this, which I think you can add some on. You need that conversation. It's like, we can't send the princes; that would be absurd. And it's like they won't listen to anyone other than our own blood or something. And it's like, yes, but they are children. Like they won't even be able to explain this situation very well. And it's like, it's time for them to learn. Blah, blah. Like a conversation, we can be like,
And then, all right, even if they say it's so important, we've got to get these messages to these houses as quickly as possible. You have more than 2 dragons. They're the freaking princes of the realm. They're the one who's going to be your heir. All right, send 3 dragons. Send it because an escort, something. They have lots of dragons. Send the, they're betrothed with them who are both dragon riders. Aren't they, or something?
The more obvious solution is to send Rainey's.
Yes, send the girls, because the men would be they would not kill the girls as peace. You're not supposed to kill peace envoys, and you're not supposed to be a kinslayer. That's even worse. A kinslayer
you're right.
is in the guys in the eyes of gods and men. That is a line that is repeated over and over again in all the books.
But you're right. The girls are the much, much better choices because they're not as politically important as the sons. All right. And so sending the 2 princes and one being that young, I'm just thinking like
it's in the book. You can question
straight out of the book.
You can question George on that one.
I would question George on it as well. What was his reasoning then?
I heard from people this is from the book as well. I've been reading about it, and it's like, oh, that sucks then, because I don't really like it in either the book or the adaptation.
So I actually think that this might be a part where what we saw earlier with Otto coming and talking to them and retroactively makes it seem like a worse decision, which did not happen in the book, but they did put it in here. The expectation is that they're going to be okay, that nothing's going to happen to them. And to be fair, what do we see happen? The fucking Baratheon is like, no, you're not going to do this here. Do not mess with him. He's a peace envoy. And then we'll get to it, but even Daemon didn't really want this to happen.
Yeah. So
you know what I mean? So it's not like he got immediately just set upon because of it.
Exactly. And what they didn't do here, what they did do in the book is Rhaenyra just assumed Baratheon would say yes to him.
Yeah.
Correct.
She just absolutely assumed it. It was like 100% guarantee.
And she does say that in this episode. She's like, these boys pledged to me. What do you mean? Well, we're counting on their support. She said it a couple times, and multiple people had to tell her, they swore to you, but that's not the same. Like, that's 20 years ago. Some of their fathers. Like, that doesn't mean they're going to stick with you. So
we get a great scene. They send the kids away, and then we get a great scene with Matt Daemon Targaryen.
Oh.
So my uneducated, assumptions about what's going on here. He seems to be trying to win the favor of another dragon onto their side. But then I was like, but he already has a dragon. Can he bond 2 dragons?
That's something they'll get to next season. I don't want to say too much, but yes, they have riderless dragons. That's all I can say.
Well, they do have dragonless riders as well, right? They've got one of the kids from Lena and Daemon. She didn't have. They set that up that she didn't. Her egg didn't hatch.
I'll say 2 words: dragon seeds.
Okay.
It's tough to say, but they have a surplus of dragons and not dragon riders right now.
I mean, I got that. I actually found it a bit confusing because the rules that were established, I thought only 1 dragon, 1 rider. I don't actually know what he's trying to achieve here.
He is making contact with the dragon and warming the dragon up to the possibility of possibly taken another writer, but not him. But not him.
Yeah,
And that
but
was
basically
confusing.
these dragons have been sitting there for years, decades. Some of them.
This is
chilling out, playing video
this is
games.
Harry's the
king
the
before Viserys, and who
king
probably
before
didn't ride
Viserys,
Vermithor for 50 years.
Yeah.
You know, like, so there's a lot of like older dragons. So I personally thought that's what he was doing. He was trying to like get them used to human contact again. And he feels like he's probably the only one who can do it. But.
And I thought maybe he was trying to even tease the idea of him being able to control another dragon, even if he's not riding it.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, good point. Cause Daenerys, she had 3, didn't she, in Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
So I guess
She only rode Drogon, though, right? She never rode Viserion or Rhaegal. They're the names, right?
Yeah, but actually, because I thought their bonding was a bit more exceptional because they looked on her as their mother, and so again, I don't get that.
We don't know how
Daemon
long
would
he's been
have that
doing this
ability.
though, because you would
Yeah.
imagine it would take a bit of time for him to be able to come this close to it, and it seemed familiar, like it was welcoming him or awaiting him to his arrival.
And it looked cool.
It looked fucking cool.
It looked cool. It looked great.
This dragon, the teeth especially, is like, oh, they look like old teeth that would Eddie one of them's like a spear that was gonna go straight through.
This brings us to
the moment.
The moment.
Well, the set up to the moment. Looked great. Yep.
Oh.
Little Luke.
I mean, when he landed, okay, he sees the massive dragon in the background.
Yeah.
Like, I would have thought, like, all right, whose dragon?
I'm out.
But it's no, that's the giant one. That's his cue. That holy crap, Aemond is here. He hates me and wants my eye.
Well,
See ya,
please.
and you'd leave right then. He's like, oh, here's the note. Throw it. Goodbye. You know, like.
And you got to show it, Gary, because that shot's.
You got to show the shot. It's incredible.
I'll find it.
Coming into
there, it is. Oh yeah, that's fantastic.
So he lands. He lands there at Storm's End, and he lands like in the courtyard there.
It's called the Bailey or Ward, Ryan.
Yeah, it is Ryan.
Jesus fuck, whatever. The Bailey or Ward. He lands in the Bailey of Storm's End, and he looks outside, like because Vhagar can't fit in there. He's freaking massive, and they do a great job of showing you the scale of the dragons. I think at all times, it doesn't matter who it is. They show you. Oh, they show you a great job.
Yeah, that looks cool.
Look at his gullet. Look at his freaking like turkey gullet swinging. But and Arax, Luke and Arax are so small. Like it almost, and they do a good job of when he's flying to make it seem like it's almost a struggle for him to like fly.
Yes.
You know, like he's just barely has been able to fly, you know, for the past couple of years. That's kind of how it feels.
Imagine the Balerion the Black Dread was bigger than this.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Was Viserys the last one to ride him?
Viserys rode him once.
And then it was like, I'm done with this.
Yeah. 200 something years old.
Is there a way to justify the fact that he still goes in after seeing that monster just hanging out?
I guess
he's still going to try and do the job that he was sent there to do.
It's the beginning scene with him and Rhaenyra, with Rhaenyra telling him what duty means and how you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And like you're like that beginning scene is what sets Luke up.
All right. Then what I think they should have done, he's walking in, he sees a dragon, he looks freaked out, and he starts to walk towards his dragon to leave, but then there's a close-up of the note in his hand, and he tightens his fist, and he's like, no, I got to do this, it's my duty. That would have sold it for me. I
don't think I need that.
I don't know.
I think
I got that. I got that when he got off and looked at the dragon, damn near shit his pants.
Yeah. Because the impression I get is that he's coming into this situation.
He doesn't want to be here.
He doesn't want to be here, but he's still doing it anyway because he's being very brave.
Yeah, Vermithor.
Okay. Look, I can go with you on that one.
Is Vermithor Westmass? Help me. I don't have the dragon chart in front of me.
He would be the second. He would be the second oldest.
Largest, yeah. And then Cannibal's third largest.
Yeah,
probably.
Dude, Vermithor and Vhagar. They're so cool as
They're
names.
cool dragon names. They really are.
Georgia does a great job of creating names. Like Baratheon, Lannister.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're just
Valerian.
I don't know, man. I could never do anything like that. I'm not creative.
His name craft is great.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Blood Raven. Come on, that's fucking awesome, dude.
Duncan egg.
Duncan Egg's good.
Mushroom.
You know what?
Patches.
This show misses Mushroom. It does. Like for levity, it really misses Mushroom. I wish he was around.
Might get him in season 2. I could see them thinking that they couldn't fit him in, and maybe they will.
Vermithor is a grizzled veteran, almost as old as Vagar. Can't wait for a certain somebody from the books riding the Bronze Fury. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
It's gonna be like the story's so cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like that.
Dude, that shot there, like, as far as effects and spectacle, this is the shot of the fucking series. Like that little.
It does look great.
It's dwarfing the castle and the character's POV we just arrived at, right? It was already said, but his dragon is like, it's a dragon, but then you're like, that's a dragon.
Dude, and
that's a fucking
that
dragon.
shot when Luke is running towards his dragon and the cape is blowing and that was fucking rad.
I was gonna say we're far from done complimenting the approach with scale for these dragons.
And you feel like there's something going on too between the dragons. Like there's this other communication we're not picking up on.
Yep.
I don't know. I just rewatched his reaction to the dragon. He just kind of looks a little bit with his head, and he doesn't respond. He kind
of jumped when it happened, and then just kind of walks backwards, and then continues walking towards the entrance to the keep. It looked like.
And he was just this. He was just like, "Oh, there's a big dragon there. Okay, keep walking."
I did not get that impression at all. I got the impression like straight away.
I just rewatched it.
No, I'm just saying that I just didn't get that impression. Like straight away, I felt that the tension had been ratcheted up significantly.
Yes.
By the giant dragon. That's
wait. Sorry. All right. No. That was the first response. I was looking at his second response. His first response was a bit like
it was a jump. Yeah.
Yeah. He does jump.
Yeah, and a giant dragon being bigger than Storm's End, and Storm's End is a impregnable giant castle that nobody really knows who built. I mean, there's legends about it, but nobody knows who built. They can't build castles like Storm's End. They don't have.
Okay, so I didn't have any of this context. I didn't know anything about like Storm's Landing. What's it? Storm's Landing, right?
Storm's End.
Storm's End.
Storm's End. I mixed up Storm's Landing.
There's like throughout Westeros, it's kind of like a pyramids thing. Like in our world, there's places that's like, okay, we don't have the technology to build that, but these things exist here. Like, how did that get here? You know, stuff like that.
It's a significant location.
Like Valerians, like they built Dragonstone with their dragons, but nobody knows who in the fuck built Storm's End.
Okay,
those are complete mystery. Now, again, the legend is Garth the Green Hand, basically built everything, or as Bran the Builder. The Builder built the wall, but that's just the.
That doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Like,
also.
Wasn't Garth the Green Hand supposed to be Bran the Builder? And like, they think they're the same thing.
Unreliable narration again.
Yeah, unreliable narration. Yeah. What's up, Mauler?
Yeah, I got the episode up as well, and I was going to say the fact that he's like clearly exasperated, and then the first thing he says to these guys is, "I am Prince Lucerys Velaryon. I have a message from the Queen." Like the big sense I'm getting here is that he's trying to remain as focused as possible. He has a job to do, and his mum believes in him, and that he needs to do it.
Yep. Exactly.
And that dragon's not going to sway him.
Age of Heroes. Yes, the Age of Heroes. Garth the Green Hand was supposed to be the first king of Westeros, right? Of the first men.
Who are like the Danes? The Danes are descended from the first men, right?
Yep. And they have the Sword of Morning, which is made out of a meteor, which is awesome.
Yeah. And there's like a lot of like hints that potentially like their family might be involved in like some, like their ancestors might have been involved in some of that crazy stuff that happens. There's like magic in their blood and shit like that.
Yeah. They might be descended from the Empire of the Dawn. And
there it is, Empire of the Dawn. Yeah, because their sword.
Yes. Okay. So great scene here. We got little young innocent Luke and big bad Aemon with his eye patch, and illiterate Boris Baratheon.
It's pretty good, yeah. Where's my maester?
Yep.
I can't
This is
read.
cool.
They're using
It's
that
just a really
English
cool,
again.
like that throne is super interesting. It's this big, like stone essentially that he's sitting on. Looks cool.
Their sets are fucking unbelievable in this, and
This one's particularly great. It's the lighting,
Yeah.
the color scheme that we've got here. It's just fantastic.
fraction of the cost of Rings of Power. Fraction. It's a joke.
What did this officially cost for season 1? Was it 200 million?
It was, 200 million. It was 20 million an episode.
So less than half as much.
Yeah, which is still insane.
And they had 10 episodes instead of 8. So even more than that. Like, when you think about it.
About a third, like reportedly 60 million per episode for Rings of Power. So a third, effectively.
Wow. Okay.
It looks so much better.
We get a world that actually looks lived in. It's amazing.
I think it's what we see here is that like the way that this is shot and the lighting and the color scheme is all in service of like there's actually something going on in this scene that they can pull from like narratively and then reinforce with the sound design and the lighting and just the visuals. There's a story here, you know.
A lot of tension building throughout the season. They do a good job of that.
Yes.
Just something that I actually like. I think this does a couple things better than we saw, especially in later seasons of Game of Thrones. But one of the things about Game of Thrones was, especially towards the last couple seasons, everybody just looked the fucking same. Yeah. Everybody was just dressed in gray and shit. And this one, obviously, there's reasoning behind them being their house colors of red and black for the blacks and green for the greens. But like, I just feel like that has been, we've seen characters have a little bit more actual character in them and what they're wearing. Which in the books, it's like next level. It's like fantasy, you know, like they have crazy armor or crazy outfits or stuff like that. And they talk about it, which you never really saw it on screen in the show.
And they said that was something that George insisted upon. He wanted greater distinction between the houses and more color.
Right. Good on him. Because the costume designs in House of the Dragon have been wonderful. I wrote down the two strong boys before they're leaving, when they're talking with their mum, their outfits, you get like they look incredible. There's brocades on the cloak and on the inside. There's pattern work and everything. And this is how elaborate some historical outfits got as well. They loved color and pattern. And seeing it here in House of the Dragon has just been a joy. I've loved that.
It looked great.
Clothes nerd.
So Boris Baratheon, this is Rhaenyra being completely naive, sending her son to get Baratheon to honor his oath without offering anything in return, and not even thinking about it. And he's what they mentioned later is he's got 4 daughters, so he needs and no sons, so he needs to marry them off to important houses for political gain. And in the book, Aemon says, "Hell, I'll fucking marry any 4 of those daughters. Let's just get this done. Let's do it." I'll do it, you know. And
and that's in character. He's been waiting to be used as a political pawn. He's ready.
Yeah, he wants it, and he's standing next. Like there's a girl standing pretty close to him that they don't need to go into too much detail. That's the one that's obviously betrothed to him now.
Yeah, and that's like what we saw in the funeral episode when Aegon was pissed he was gonna have to marry his sister, and Aemon's like, if mother asked me, I would do my duty. Like,
oh, and he mentioned earlier, like if somebody's looking for me to be king, I plan to be found. You know,
exactly.
He's ready.
He's got such a smug grin as well because he's just outmaneuvered them again. Like he's outmaneuvered them. Like anything that they wanted to achieve, like it's just done. It's over. Like you can't win here.
Aemon is fast-tracked to being pretty damn favorable as a character in the show.
He's just super interesting.
Even the portrayal of him as a young kid, I was like, wow, this character's awesome. And the main consistent is really engaging and really well done.
But you also have to wonder. No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, you really have to wonder why. You have to wonder why Rhaenys didn't know more in terms of what her family, because this is her family, what their needs were, what he would be asking for, that he had these daughters who needed husbands. Like she seemed to be uninvolved in the very thing that she should have been the lead on.
Yeah, girl boss.
At this point, my conclusion is she's trying to have her cake and eat it too. She's like, I'm involved and I do give you support, Rhaenyra. Aren't I great? I'm not doing anything though. I ain't touching this. I ain't doing nothing. I'm not getting my hands
I'm gonna
dirty.
go fly my dragon over the narrow seas and just make sure that no one's.
Yeah, just let me know how it
this.
turns out, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, because she's to blame vaguely, at least for this, because as you said, this is her family. She's got one of the biggest and mightiest dragons, so that carries with it a lot of defense and intimidation. But and she's a character that they would hesitate to execute.
And one thing they have made very clear in this show and the last one, when you get a few generations away from a relative or an oath, people give less of a fuck.
Yeah.
I think that's been pretty well established.
But yeah, what I was going to say is on the subreddit for this show, I was just curious to give it a glance. And one of the top posts right now is like, can we please round of applause for the casting on Aemond? And it's kind of like, I agree, but like casting on everybody. Yeah.
Everybody's been great. Everybody's been great in this show.
Like
even this guy here, who's only been in it for like 2 minutes. I can't remember his name, the Baratheon guy. He was
just
great.
an illiterate Baratheon.
Yeah.
Who's more prideful than anything else. Just like, I deserve offerings. Gimme.
And you want to, I think they want to remind you a little bit of Robert from the show. You know what I mean? They want to remind you of that. They want to make that connection. It's crazy because the guy who plays Aemond was in The Last Kingdom, the series on Netflix. He played like the monk or whoever that defected and fought with them. And it's like the fact that like that kid from that show is now this, it's awesome.
This should probably help out his career a little bit. He's making an impact,
Little difference
that chin. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm just saying that chin is going to be cast into a lot of roles. It's so
Oh,
distinctive.
dude, I'm telling you,
he has
the
that
guy
look.
looks like the fucking Joker. He should play this. He does. Okay, so a little difference from the book here. When Baratheon sends him away, tells him not to fight. What basically Aemond says, eye for an eye. We still have some business, so I want you to take out your eye. You only have to take out the one. Don't want to leave you blind, but you need to do it right now. And Boris, like, not under my roof. But in the books, he's all, but you can do it in the yard. I don't give a shit. In the show, he doesn't. He says, take the boy, escort him to his dragon, which I liked so much better. Like
they also eliminated the woman provoking Aemond to go after him.
Yes.
I don't think you needed that provocation.
Is that in the book?
I guess it's like, I think that this is...
It's like his new wife, right? Or his new betrothed or whatever.
New betrothed, and she kind of eggs him on.
Are you gonna do anything about it?
Do anything about that? Pussy?
I would have liked that. That to me would have shown more balance.
I don't think it's... I think this is... I feel like this is the same in episode... Damn, which one was it? It was 7. Like when it's like, yeah, he's in a Chad position right now. He doesn't need it, I don't think. This is just the same as when he got Vagar. It's like, yep, I won. Like I'm more powerful than you now. I don't think he needs to be egged on.
Yeah.
Do we have the shot of? It hasn't come yet. We gotta let's see the eye, Gary. I was really wondering if they were going to show his eye or not.
Oh, I was too, and they did.
And it looks pretty cool.
It's a cool
Look at this shot.
Oh.
Wow.
Fucking awesome.
And just fucking popping a massive sapphire in your eye socket.
Yep.
I mean, why would you wear an eye patch after that? It's a sapphire. It looks wicked.
I guess it depends on whether or not he's being perceived as a hero or a villain for the day. He's like, if people don't like me today, I'm taking the eye patch off because this is my Bond villain look.
This is supposed to call back to, the crow's eye. The crow's eye, who's got his smiling eye and his black eye of malice. So when he takes his patch, he's got this like black eye in there, and it freaks out.
Doesn't Euron wear an eye patch as well?
Yeah, that's the crow's eye. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, fuck.
And freaks the hell out of Theon when he thinks about it, because the crow's eye is not only a possible mystic pirate who's been to Valyria, he also like molested all his brothers just to make him a little extra evil. So yeah, he's a fucking evil bastard, and probably one of the best villains and one of the most fucked up characters from book to show.
How did we get robbed of like a guy wearing Valyrian steel armor, plate armor that's all Valyrian steel?
Yeah.
How did we get robbed
what?
of that? Yeah, that's what he should have had in the show.
Yeah.
Dude, that oh my god, the Forsaken chapter, which is a sample chapter from Winds of Winter, is the best chapter in the entire series. It's where he forces his brother Aeron Greyjoy to drink Shade of the Evening and go on a hallucinogenic trip where he imagines him as a squid-headed Cthulhu god on the fucking Iron Throne with like midgets eating each other. It's crazy shit. It's so good. It's so fucking good. Yeah, does some horrible things too. He's just bad. He's just really, really bad. And like worse than Joffrey, worse than why am I blanking on his name now?
Aegon?
No, in Song of Ice and Fire. No, Aegon's pretty bad, but he's not as bad as Joffrey.
No, I agree.
No, Euron is the worst. Euron is the worst. Absolute worst.
Instead we got an emo boy.
Everyone remembers what Joffrey did to a lot of people because he was bored and stuff.
Yep.
Oh, Ramsay, the chat is
Ramsay, yeah, like I'm blanking on dude.
Oh, I'm blanking on Ramsay, right?
Ramsay was bad, but Euron is worse than Ramsay. He's worse. Because Euron is somewhat in control of his emotions, somewhat, and his temper. Ramsay is not, which will do him in someday. But he's not dumb. Like the Ramsay in the book is they're supposed to look kind of like vampires. Okay, the Boltons are supposed to look like vampires.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have pale eyes, pale skin.
Yeah.
They've kind of fucking flayed man as their as their banner. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, they used to flay Starks.
Yes.
But Ramsay kind of just means
they wore their skins
out of interest in the Game of Thrones show. Ramsay became too popular for fans for some reason. I think it was the actor more so than the character.
Well, the actor was fine.
That's what I'm saying. He made it so that everyone liked him so much that they like gave him full control of the North. Almost.
Yeah. Well, when they killed Roose Bolton in the show, which they didn't do in the books, that was fucking stupid.
So
like you
lame.
needed Roose Bolton around. And that wasn't anything like the Roose Bolton in the books, who was just like, he talks so quietly, nobody can ever really hear. They can barely hear what he's saying. And he's just super chill and he's got no emotions because he always gets leeched. So he only gets enjoyment by playing with people, torturing them, playing with them. One of the, like a line that you could not get in this show, that's one of the best lines in the book, is he's getting mad at Ramsay, Bruce is, and he goes, "Don't make me regret the day I raped your mother."
God.
It's like, wow. Holy shit. But that's it. They're just bad. But it makes like it up so much worse when when Freys get fed to them and stuff. That's great. That's great. Cooking Freys and pies. All right, so he shows off his sapphire eye. He's shitting himself a little bit. He's all, "I'm not here to fight you. My mother said I am supposed to be a good boy. So
I'm here as a messenger, not a warrior."
Yep.
Exactly what his mom said.
Yeah.
And made him swear upon the Bible, basically.
Yep.
So, Mauler and Fringy, were you already at this point like expecting, wow, there's no way he's coming out of this alive?
I think it was incredibly tense because I wasn't quite sure what was going to happen.
I got exactly what I wanted, which was there wouldn't be a fight here. He gets on the dragon and Vhagar's missing.
Right, exactly.
Vhagar being missing is one of the most scary things ever. The thing is enormous. Like, if you can't see it, that's bad.
Exactly.
Yeah, where did the
I'm not saying this is a I felt it was pretty predictable. He was going to die, but that's kind of predictable in a good way. This is where you would want the story to go because of what impact it could have.
I mean, we talked about that in the beginning. I mean, like George sets stuff up where you just absolutely know shit is going to happen, and it's torture waiting for it. Like the Red Wedding in the books, they telegraph the shit out of it. Sorry. Yeah. So you just like, oh no, how is he gonna die? And yeah.
Well,
and
dude, when they start playing the Reigns of Castamere at a wedding for the Stark, and it's just like, wait a minute. Even Cat is like, hang on, what the fuck? Like, it's like, yep. Yeah, it was one of the most effective parts of the story, the Red Wedding, and it is something that they give you all the clues for well ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll just say there's lots of clues in this first season for stuff. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
hang on. That scene where he's running to his dragon is pretty good. Hang on.
and the dragon is so little.
And Arax
Dude,
is like,
he's
like
scared.
freaking out.
They're both scared because they could die so easily.
He's scared, but this shot.
I don't know. See, I didn't get that. I didn't get that Arax was scared. I got that Arax was
I
just
did.
ready.
Because he had to calm him down. He told him, like,
It
you
might
got to
be
calm
just-
down.
it might just be because of the rain, because dragons hate rain and snow.
I'm more than happy to believe Arax is terrified of Vhagar.
If he's not scared, he's nervous, like he's upset. There's something
At the very
going on,
least.
and
Yeah.
Luke walks up to him and grabs him. And he's like, and talks in High Valyrian. He's like, "Hey, focus, Arax. Like, calm down. Listen to me. Obey me."
And this is
there's
right
an
after Luke's searching for Vhagar as well, not finding him.
It's
sorry.
I think one of the many things that gets achieved narratively, you know, in this scene, like this whole sequence, is reminding people it's like the dragons are like alive. They're like living creatures, and they're like intelligent ones too.
Yep. And HBO, don't hit me for this. I just want to show off like a good scene, like this shot. I love this shot. That is
He knows there's
fucking
danger.
Awesome.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
Cape flapping and everything about that was fucking awesome.
It's
Arax
really
is like, get on, let's go.
yeah, it's very in motion. Everything feels very, very much like anything could happen right now.
Exactly.
And look at the effects. The dragon, it looks like it's there. You know, it's just
Yeah.
good.
God.
Well, yeah, because we might be repeating ourselves as we progress, but this whole sequence is visually striking.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I got quite a vibe once they get in the air.
I mean,
Yeah.
And he looks over to see Vhagar, and the lightning strikes, so you can see Vagar's not there,
Which scarier than Vhagar being there.
Exactly.
Great.
Go
on, Ryan. Go on.
I was gonna say, which I guess, what does that really mean? Like, because we're about to have a sequence where all of a sudden Aemon gets on Vhagar. So where did Vhagar
the fact that we don't? So it's more than likely Vhagar's in the air already.
Maybe, but Aemon is still in the castle.
Unless as soon as is it Luke he leaves, Aemon just he's around the corner, then Aemon just beelines and takes
that's
the back
probably
door.
what happened. Yeah, as soon as I get out, he's ready to run out there and chase him.
Yeah.
I think that's the reasonable thing to assume. Yeah, who knows what kind of connection he has with Vhagar at this point that they can get that done quickly.
Clearly,
well,
it's
and
not
then there's also
great.
just that, like, he's much bigger. I imagine that dragon can catch up to Luke's dragon faster. Yeah,
100%. But what I'm saying is, what is this supposed to mean when he's not there? Like,
I guess that's that's what makes it more nerve-wracking, right? Is the unknown. If I can't see him, where is he? What's he doing?
He might
was there, and
he might be on another. He might be on another side of the castle.
He could be fucking sleeping.
If Vhagar were sleeping right there, it'd be like, okay, let's just go.
Yeah,
we'll be
exactly.
fine. If Vhagar's there and staring at you, that's a bit nerve-wracking, but let's just get out of here. But if it's not there...
Yep.
My impression, Aemon went to either a balcony or a back door on the other side of the castle, and Vhagar probably sensed it and met him there, and so that's why, you know, he could be getting on Vhagar as this guy's getting on his little dragon.
It seemed like Arax was looking that way when Luke came out, so he may have seen him fly away.
Maybe, yeah. Well, maybe. I mean, it would have been timed pretty closely, as we see, because Vhagar catches up real quick.
Yeah, maybe Luke will tell us in episode 2 or in season 2.
Maybe. Luis Cuevas for $20. There was no pieces left. Luke's on a WW biplane getting chased by an AC-130 with teeth.
Yeah. However scary a dragon's gonna be, when you see one compared to a larger one, it's like, oh, you look like a little house cat now.
Yeah. he looked small next to Melee's and what's Jace's?
Chat never loves you down, by the way. What was that?
Oh, what's Jace's dragon's name?
Oh,
I forget
Vermax.
Jace's. Vermax, yeah. So like he looked tiny next to Vermax and Melee's when they were taken off earlier. So next to Vhagar. Smaller than his jaws.
So yeah, he's telling him to chill out a little bit, then he takes off.
And yeah, it can't be understood. This scene is like a difficult flight anyway. These are like the least experienced of all of the flyers. And so there's this enormous force that's possibly going to try and kill you at any moment.
And during in Fire and Blood, when they're telling the story, during Aegon's conquest, when I think it was Rhaenys was trying to take Storm's or the Stormlands, it was such a bad storm that her dragon couldn't fly. Like it was grounded because it was raining so much. So that's what I was thinking of here, like watching him barely able to like fly in this crazy storm.
Well, that's what we get in the books too, is that he can't maneuver as quickly as he would being such a small and swift dragon because of the storm. So that's definitely impacting his ability to get away.
Yep, because normally he would have gotten away. That's this dragon's way faster than Vhagar.
Oh, okay.
Well, this is where there's a discussion to be had, because technically he does at one point, and then, but we'll get there.
I was going to say, like, I would never have thought this dragon could outfly Vhagar, because Vhagar's enormous.
He's enormous, but he's slow. But she's slow.
He's slow. So I don't know if he could be. I don't know if this one would be faster, but he's 100% more agile and would be able to turn and like go.
Yeah, I can believe that. I just figured that.
Would we call it like a mouse
big
versus an elephant sort of thing?
Yeah.
But it goes either way, because with that larger dragon, he has a much more massive wingspan and can displace way more air, but he has greater mass. And so it could actually balance out. They could be similar in speed. They could just say Vhagar is slower or faster, because either way, there's a way to logically justify it. So
the maneuverability for me
also,
is like the
and also how encumbered would a small dragon be in a storm compared to a large one?
I mean, actually, technically, I think I've answered my question. According to the square cube law, Vhagar would actually be much slower. The amount of wind he can displace for his size doesn't overcome the fact that by increasing his size, his internal volume increases by a factor of 8.
I thought that don't dragons break that rule anyway?
I figured that.
I mean, dragon wouldn't be able to fly very much well anyway, because their wingspans are usually not large enough to be able to displace enough air to get but if you were to accept that, okay, pretend they can, and then try and apply it logically, the square cube law, right? When you double something in size, you actually increase the surface area by 4, and the internal volume increases by a factor of 8. So Vhagar's weight compared to the other dragon would be just insanely greater. And if he's displacing the same or even larger, but only similar percentage of air by its wing. I'm getting real nerdy. This is what I do, guys. Sorry, but by its movement of the wings, it would still be. It would actually be much slower. The mass it needs to redirect and everything. Yeah.
So George did his homework.
Yeah,
the little one should be much faster.
There's a suspension like Luke here would be frozen, by the way, and couldn't breathe.
That was actually going to be the next I was going to bring up. With how high they get.
Suspension of disbelief. Yeah.
Well, we could also say because of their genetics, they may be able to withstand that type of pressure.
Maybe there's an internal heating device and pressure and all that stuff. But
maybe the clouds were really low.
Wow, enough nerd talk. Let's get to the cool shot, Gary.
Hey, I'm getting there.
So to set this up, as he's going, you can't really see anything, but you hear a roar.
Mm-hmm.
You hear a roar and a growl, and Luke is like looking all around, doesn't see anything. And then at some point, like you just get an undershot of Luke and Arax, and all of a sudden you just see the shadow of Vhagar. It might be here.
Yeah, I think this is it.
Yeah, we have to keep pausing it for copyright just to make sure, But look at how much he's struggling, like to get through. You know, he's barely making it through that rain. I fucking tension.
Yeah.
Oh,
there it is.
Well, it's come. It's
there it is.
Yeah. It's the anticipation.
Oh my
God! What's going to happen?
Unbelievably fucking awesome and tension setting. Holy shit!
Exactly. Well, the tension in this scene is crazy.
And this is something you get to do if you have dragons. This is a scene you can have, so they got their way to it.
Well, and it's a scene that's especially when you've established the dynamic between these characters, everything that you've established, especially about Aemond and what he values and the way that he operates, just all filtering into this scene.
But it also shows how immature they are that they think that they can play with these dragons as if they're
Well,
toys.
so it's something that Lucerys had said earlier in the season, right? That like people
Yeah.
thought it was just the nature of people, like dragons aren't toys, and who is actually in control of the dragons really? You know, like these monumental beasts, like these mythical creatures. Who really controls them? You know, it's like all of these things that get lost, or just people fail to understand exactly what they're playing with here.
Exactly.
I think there's a line in I don't know what book it is in Song Ice and Fire, but when they're talking about Drogon, and it's like when Drogon like had his mindset on something, like nothing could change it. You know, so these are fucking living animals.
Exactly, they're alive.
It's not like teaching a dog to sit.
And they can't truly be tamed, right?
And so Aemond, he screams through the air like there is a debt to be paid. Not sure the other guy could hear him through the rain and wind, but
I found that very unbelievable. I agree.
Hey, he may still be saying it, even if he can't hear it.
I could believe him just saying it just to scream
Yeah,
in the air. Like,
it might be that we hear what he's saying. It doesn't mean that necessarily that Luke heard it.
He's talking to Vagar.
Yeah, this is just Aemond's like flexing, basically.
And it's good that you bring up his talking to Vagar. It's like, well, the element of man, I want to get my my pint of blood off you. Like I just sort of think that's gonna seep into the dragon to some degree.
Exactly.
Because you're directing it to basically exact your will to some extent. But how much does the dragons don't know what the political systems are? They don't know what the implications.
What do you mean, Fringy? What do you mean? In
they can burn thrones for symbolism.
Why would they do that? Why would
such
they?
a stupid thing that they did.
Why is that a choice that they would make?
You see, John, I understood that the throne represented vying for power.
He just starts talking like Smaug.
It would make more sense.
So, is it Jace who's getting chasey? I got to mix up between Jace
Luke.
and
It's Luke. This is Luke.
It's Luke. So Luke dives and gets what looks to be into relative safety. He gets into some
crevice.
Some cave.
Crevices.
Oh, you're going too far, Gary.
You went way too far.
All right.
And all right, so this is where I'm like, okay, what's going on? Because he essentially got to safety.
Right.
What do you mean? Why didn't he just stay?
Why
did
he
just
fly
land.
back and pick a fight? He could have landed. He could have hidden. He could have.
he
We
didn't.
know why.
He
We
didn't.
know why.
Arax
He
did.
didn't pick the fight. Yeah. The
So
dragon.
Arax. So I don't know if you have the subtitles on or whatever. Like Vagar's just flying through the air. Luke has disappeared. He went down this crevice, and Vagar's above it. And then all of a sudden, yes, no Arax. No Arax. And Arax goes into Dracarys. So it was an accident.
And
because
Mhm.
Arax was so scared of being chased and all that stuff.
question.
And Arax. Go ahead.
All right, the only way this could work is if he got to safety and then Arax literally took control and flew back to pick the fight.
Yeah,
That's what
what happened.
happened.
That's what happened, though.
And it
I don't know,
does
'cause, like-
align. It does align with the books because we see that from the ground, people saw the flames first before the attack actually happened. So this explains how that
had shown that there was a lot of distance between the two, and that he got to safety. And if the dragons are scared of this bigger one, why is it now wanting to pick a fight, flying all the way back?
I don't think he's scared. I
was going to say that's a different question. And the first impression I got was it's terrified. It's like lashing out like a cat's paw sort of thing when it's.
I can totally get the lashing out if it's cornered and has nowhere else to go. But an animal's first instinct is to yeet out of there when threatened. And there was a huge amount of distance put between them when they got to the cavern.
But there's an assumption that Arax is afraid.
He's still there.
So
like he's still around.
Vagar's basically paralleling him above. There's several.
Yeah.
There's a couple 100 feet, I would say, but Vagar's like floating above the cavern.
Yeah, he can't access it, but he can still see them. Like the danger is still present, and I don't know why Arax would like. I don't think that the dragon thinks like we're good now. I think he's still like scared shitless.
Yeah, and
so this to me just seems like a last ditch. Like get the fuck away from me. Like get out. Get away from me.
In the wild can work,
Well, it's
can
like
save your life.
it's the meme, right? That snakes are more afraid of you than you are of them. And like, what would a snake do if it's afraid of you and it like is like tries to attack you?
I'm not questioning that if they were cornered. I'm not sure they showed us that he was probably cornered.
I think, but there's this ongoing assumption that Arax is afraid. There's no reason to believe that these dragons would act like animals would in our world. I mean, I think this is a dragon, and he's being attacked, essentially, at least from his perspective.
Well,
I think it
challenged
works,
by this
I think it
other
works with
dragon,
both anger
and he has
and
to
fear.
defend his human.
Yeah, I think so.
And if you want to interpret it as the dragon is upset that this thing is trying to kill it and wants to fight back, is furious with it, it's like, sure. I think fear is definitely thrown in. I think dragons are conscious enough that they can tell when a giant dragon is on them that's a threat.
How well is that dragon going to perceive the political safety? I get like that Aemond actually doesn't want to like kill him. Like I don't know that he's going to think that that's a possibility. It's like, this is mortal danger.
I'm not even sure Luke would know for sure.
No, well, I think that's the thing as well. Is like I don't think that like Luke is also terrified. Like, because as I was watching this scene, I was like, I don't know what he's actually going to do here. Yeah. Like I don't know what Aemond wants to do here, because it could be a few things, and it's like, yeah, that uncertainty. I just find it totally believable. Yeah, I find it totally believable.
Well, this is where, it all goes sideways, and they both lose control of their dragons.
Basically, yeah.
And friends, from his perspective, he's not losing control. This dragon is threatening his rider, and he's going to turn and defend him and try to protect him, and then get him out of there.
Yeah.
And
then Vhagar doesn't take kindly to
that. No, Vhagar doesn't like that he got attacked.
Yeah, which
and
was
Aemon
easy for me to accept on this one.
Like,
absolutely, yeah. Because at that point, it's like
this. Yeah, it's kind of fun because you can feel like
the reaction of the dragon getting attacked. I'm all on board. It's just the setup. I'm still, but
yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah. I hear what you're saying with that, Shad. Like, would that make logical sense for that dragon to do that? Probably not necessarily.
I think all I need is I can believe that the dragon would do that. I don't
me
find
too.
it possible.
Yeah, I can believe it. What's frustrating me, I guess, is that they could have easily justified that reaction from the dragon to launch the fire and everything by having the bigger dragon circle over the crevice where it was hiding, so it feels cornered. But they really show it looked like that they lost sight of the little dragon completely, because they have Aemond looking around. And that to me set up that, they got free. They could just go away, and then suddenly they're coming back and attacking him. And I mean,
I don't think it's unreasonable
to hold it to the same standard. This is the type of thing that I would criticize if it was in a lesser show, and I wouldn't let a lesser show get away with it. This show's really good. I don't think because I don't see a proper justification.
I think that's because you're expecting him to hide.
I see two justifications. That's why I'm lost on this. It seems weird.
Well, I think that to me, the implication here is that Aemon and Vhagar do not know where Luke is, but I think Luke and Arax know exactly where Vhagar is above them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so and even on that, do Luke and Thing know that they are unaware of their location exactly at this point?
Correct.
Or are they still engaged as though they're coming for him?
That's what I think. That's how I interpreted that. Because even from below, you could see Vhagar very easily as they were.
I think is a good answer for me, right? Is that they felt trapped underneath, and that their only way to get free, I don't know, the sky. You have all the different places to fly towards.
He came at him from the side.
It's still better.
He came at him from the side, so he didn't need to get free. This was a very strategic attack by Arax. He knew what he was doing.
Well, and there's also the nature of
what
is it that is, like when hunter animals, that something that will make a hunter animal back off is like getting hurt. It's like, yeah, they can win. Like that's never in question, right? But like, how many injuries does an animal want to sustain in like a fight that it's picked? I just don't see the problem. Like I can totally believe all of this.
And then that's awesome. As an equal counter, then it's that you have what is one of the oldest veteran war dragons being like, "Did you seriously just attack me?
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you have any idea who
exactly.
I am?
The pride of that dragon is like, nah, you're not getting away with this. I'm gonna get you. And yeah, this shot is fantastic.
fucking awesome.
It's like the one moment of quiet before everything is gonna fall apart.
Yeah, that's
Like,
actually the
everything's
thought I had.
over.
I was like, they for a second bait Bliss, and then
Exactly,
everything's
and then
over.
everything
with
is
this next one.
terrible.
I did love how Aemon immediately was like, Vhagar, no, don't respond, don't do anything.
For as prideful and cocksure as Aemon is, like for as arrogant as he is, he knows what this means. He doesn't want this. He knows, and it immediately sets in after
he probably
tragedy.
can detect Vhagar's fury.
Yeah, pretty much. He was screwing around. He was just he got too arrogant. He thought that this was all under his control, and it's not, and that's the consequence.
Yeah, and he's like pulling on him. He's doing everything he can before they break the clouds with Vhagar. No, Vhagar, no, like everything.
And it's just like a big hit of humility, you know.
Yeah, you're very close to it, Gary. Yep, here.
Oh, that was a cloud.
Right here.
There's
that POV, the losing team, I guess.
Wow.
In this
look at that saliva.
Oh, it's
like
absolutely.
out.
Yeah, so this, by the way, is proof that Luke is no more.
yeah.
Right, yeah.
Really sad. Really sad.
That's
like what a tragedy that is.
That bite just chews it in half. Done.
Yeah.
It was a like
What a
the
tragic.
scale, dude, the scale of this, like when you look and you realize that like the midsection of Arax fits in his jaws. Like there's nothing fair about this.
No, what a fantasy scene it is, you know?
Yeah,
it is.
There's
and I think they even show that his cloak flapping in the wind. Is that it there?
It could be, yeah.
That could be his cloak or a piece of fucking skin.
I was
or
going to say
something.
it could be the wing.
Yeah.
I think you
Or
see
wing.
both wings because it bites him right in the center.
Yeah, I think they are wings. Yeah.
Oh, just shattered.
Oh my god.
And so now Luke, this little boy who never wanted this, who never wanted to be a part of this fucking game, who has been resistant the entire time, but his mother convinced him that he had to do his duty. That's what happens.
And he just didn't want people to die. He wants everyone to get along. He wants to do right by everybody.
You're not going to last a second in Westeros with that kind of attitude, young.
George's universe, when you're a nice person, you're going to get brutally, horribly murdered.
And then we get this reaction from Aemon. Oh, shit.
That's when you know you effed up.
I mean, all right. It does raise a question. What was his intent? Was just to frighten him, give him a spook,
pretty much.
and then it
to exercise power. Like, look at how powerful I am. Like, you know, contest.
Maybe to force him down at the end of the day, too. Just like force him down and confront him. Like he wasn't going to kill him, clearly, but
no, because he knows better than that. Like he knows what the implications are.
He's a kinslayer now.
But
I think it's arguable too. This kind of echoes their fights as kids, where it just gradually got more and more serious, and then something happens that ruins everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And that, by the way, is the cause of this to a degree. He's like, "You owe me for when you took my eye."
You mean there was consequences to an earlier scene? That was...
Evidently, he was still bitter about it. Yeah, like as much as he said it was a fair trade, it's like he's still bitter about it
to this day.
Well, I guess he got his payment.
Yeah.
In full.
A little bit of interest.
Then we get the message.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, which, like I said, I think this is perfectly handled, but it would have been cool to get an Alicent parallel at the same time.
Yep.
That would have been
I
cool.
think I'd agree.
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing needs to be said. It's all shown. Body language conveys everything. The camera angle, the positioning. You know exactly what's being said.
That's basically,
and I think it's you see this and you might expect her to like collapse. You know, you expect something like that, and she does. She like stutters and almost goes down, and then she kind of like gathers herself and slowly kind of like her posture raises, and then she turns around and she is a mad queen.
Yep.
I honestly
Daemon
as
steps
well.
back a little bit here too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's totally deferring to her on this. Like this, however you react is like he's not going to contradict her on anything she probably says at this scene, because this is
where you let people
And how much guilt in this moment does Daemon feel that the reason this is happening is because he pushed Rhaenyra not to take this deal, to fight, like all this stuff. You know what I mean?
Stumbles.
Yeah, that's the little stumble.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, it would be interesting to know how he would have worded it, because how do you summarize it? It's like Prince Aemond has killed your son. Like, it's just like
Prince Lucerys is no more.
No, yep.
There you go. That's the moment.
Yeah, which is a really strong way to end this. As someone who doesn't know how this story unfolds still, and happily don't, this was probably a very strong way to end the season in terms of just like, there's no going back now.
Exactly. The chapter, like this chapter of the story, is closed. It's war.
No justice, no peace.
Nope.
No justice.
So, you see a good close up on her face, and it's very powerful. Look at that, yeah.
She's
there is a
not
question.
Happy.
Yeah. So the show doesn't tell us how much time has passed. I could see people assuming that this is. We literally just saw that scene transpire, and usually the assumption is next scene is either shortly after a close thing, but it could have been much longer, because the question is, how did they find out? People could have been watching. I don't know. There was stormy. That would have been hard to see.
Well, I would go as far as saying the last they were seen together. I mean, even the Baratheons could qualify this. They'd be like, "Yeah, he left on his dragon, and Aemond left immediately after. We have nothing to do with this. Whatever's happened, it's not us." The last we saw of those two, they were very close by each other with their dragons. And if they find the body, they'll find that a dragon has been snapped in half by a jaw. Now, what can do that?
Yeah, they could find the remains.
Pieces of dragon wash up on shore.
Dragon.
Yeah.
That's
and
I believe
people heard it, and they saw the flame and all of that.
I wouldn't be surprised if Aemond was to tell Alicent immediately. That wouldn't surprise me if he was like, because you need to know this tactically, and then whether or not how the information would spread on their side as well. But I agree with you, Shad. It's like, I would be curious how much time has passed. I have no idea how to guess of how much time would have passed for this to be found out as definitely true.
And I'm not sure who said it, but he does inform her of what happened, and she does have the reaction that you said earlier of what have you done?
Yeah, which is a scene I would really like to see. At least, hopefully, we at least get it in season 2.
That is a good question. I was trying to figure out who that third dragon.
It was Meleys.
It was Meleys. Okay,
because she's going to the fucking narrow sea to just fucking patrol.
She's patrolling. Yeah.
She's on patrol, on dragon patrol. So thank you, Miranda.
And
Daemon was supposed to have left as well, to go somewhere. I don't remember.
Was Daemon doing the Vermithor thing? Was that then, or was that a different time?
That was a different time.
After
that.
I can't remember where Daemon was now, but obviously, it's sometimes it's hard to keep track of all the dragon riders and their dragons.
Mostly gluten for $20 says, when Gary says Uncle Fucker, immediately thought of South Park movie, bigger, longer, and uncut.
Yep.
And I love how Shad used the word yeet. Yes, I am absolutely. There's a great meme on Free Folk of Vaemond saying Uncle Fucker with the top of his head chopped off, and talking like like from South Park. It was awesome. It was a brilliant meme. So shut your fucking face, Uncle Fucker.
Good times.
Good times. Great movie. Laughed my ass off during that. That and Team America.
Hell yeah.
They just won't make it anymore. In the book, in the books, people see the fight happen. Yes, they do. There are small folk, those people who don't matter, who witness it. All right. So that was
from what they showed in the TV show. There's no way on the ground anyone could have seen through that rain and cloud cover. Well, they could have seen the flash of light from the fire burst. Yes, they could have seen that. And then if they find the remains, adding 1 and 2 together, that's how they could get some different.
There's a flame, and then there's a screeching sound.
Yeah.
And then
and don't forget as well, I hesitate to say this because I feel like you guys will be like immediately configure whether it happens. So don't feel the need to do that. But Aemond could sell this as, hey man, I was attacked, okay? I was minding my own business. I guess that idiot Luke thought that he could try and take out the biggest dragon if he tried blindsided me. But You know, I don't know if he would even bother trying to sell a story like that, but it's something you could try to do to take the weight off.
Oh no, like there would be char marks maybe on the saddle or some of the rope and stuff, and he would have evidence to say, "Look, he fired me." And so there's evidence to say that he was attacked because he did get.
I think in general that Aemond is just gonna tell everybody what happened. Like throughout this entire story, I don't think we've seen once where Aemond has really lied to anybody. Like he's pretty straight up. You know what I mean? Like, is he manipulative? Yeah. Sure. Like the toast that he did to the strong boys, but
was hilarious.
Hilarious. But yeah, he's like, he's not really deceitful, I don't think.
We'll have to see. It's really up to. There's a couple ways you could take this. I hope it's one of the viable ways, and you don't just do something stupid. All right, Joe. Trusted you.
Yeah. Like I imagine the sounds of this would be like a freaking plane, like a dog fight, like going on over your freaking roof. You know what I mean? You like come outside, you see a burst of flame, and you hear dragons screech, and you're like, oh shit! And then all of a sudden, some wings, and they like all of the dragons are very specifically colored and everything, and some people are aware of them, so they'd be able to identify them.
Like I said, anybody who's worth fucking anything for forensics in this world, even in medieval times, would be like, so that's a bite. Like,
it's even as simple as
bite mark.
Yeah,
they're gonna do like take a freaking mold of. We need a mold of his teeth to match up. Yeah,
for DNA.
We've triggered chat quite a bit throughout. Vhagar is a girl, I think, right?
Yes, Vhagar is a girl. Vhagar is female, but it's impossible to refer to the biggest, most powerful dragon as a fucking woman. It's just impossible to do it. Like
she's an old lady.
Yeah, I can believe it.
She's cranky as shit. I know.
She wanted to knit, and they made her fight a war, so now they're paying for it.
Yeah, but it's really hard for me to refer to Vhagar as.
That's why she didn't listen.
It's a freaking dragon. I say, look at that dude. Look at that dude. Like, I don't know.
I dude my wife all the time. So it's all right. I'm all, hey, dude. Mooksy Clang for $20 says, it's my 29th birthday tonight. Well, congratulations. You're almost dirty 30. Hitting your prime. And such a treat watching the premiere and you mad lads live as I'm usually working. Loved all your guys' coverage and hail to the fellowship. Hail Ripa. Hail the Mises Caucus. That's some libertarian stuff there, right?
Yeah.
And also, hi, Rags. Hi, Rags.
Hey. Hi, Rags.
You know, I did clip for a video for him, and I didn't say hi, Rags. I fucking feel like I need to read through the whole thing.
Go do it.
Such a missed opportunity right there. Samwise has 2 donations on the Streamlabs side for $5 each. Says, I sent my first super chat during FNT a bit ago. We'll just do that again anyway. I'm not sure if it got seen. Wanted to say I found you guys through the drinker and thoughts for and thanks for all the great content. Also, thanks for introducing me to Shad. After the stream, I picked up his audiobook and it was so good. I finished it in 2 days.
Wow. Yeah! Hell yeah!
And Mike's graphic novel campaign, and Shad is quickly becoming one of my favorite YouTubers. Can't wait for the leather bounds. Hail the fellowship. And oh my God, this is one of those freaking Wheel of Time things, right?
Is it Tai Shah?
No, it's Machicolosians or whatever.
Oh, that's Machicolations. That's not Wheel of Time. That's one of my things.
Oh, it's one of your things. I can't. Well, dude, make words I can read for fuck's sake.
A defensive feature on castles.
Okay, that's right. You told me that one already. You gotta tell me like 5 more times before it sinks in.
Oh, man, thanks for those comments. It means the world. And the graphic novel's going great. Still chugging along. Going strong.
We're gonna get it to 400K by Friday. We're gonna do
what we
it.
want. We can do it, guys.
I believe in you. I believe. 420 Gunny Inc. 420, bro, for $5 says, hey, Nerdrotic and crew. How fast would everyone crap themselves if someone showed up riding a King Ghidorah? Which is way more than twice the size of Aegon. It's
You mean Valerian, right?
Aegon's just it was twice the size of a man.
Of Aegon. Okay, yeah. Well, Aegon the First. No, I was reading it wrong. So Aegon the First Dragon, Balerion the Black Dread.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a big
King Ghidorah is fucking cool. He's basically a dragon with 3 long necks. So yeah, he should pop up in this show. Sure, I agree.
He's from Godzilla.
Yes, and Godzilla should also pop up in this show. Maybe King Kong too. Throw him
in.
Someone compared Black Adam to Godzilla vs. Kong if it were a superhero movie.
What?
What
are the connections there?
Black Adam. I guess because they mean it's just like action and like no real substance. Maybe I don't know.
That make more sense if Superman was fighting Black Adam. You could see a connection there.
Yeah.
Well, Satan fights him. That's something.
Basically.
Did you see it, Mauler?
I did.
I
watched your review of it as well.
Thank you. Like I just feel like it's getting a lot of praise right now, and
I'm 50-50 on it. I have things I liked, things I didn't like. I thought it was kind of an film. I think that's what I said on Twitter. I was like, it's pretty
I'm exactly 50-50 on it. I gave it a 5. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You just get the impression that film was gonna it's gonna be bad in the way that films used to be bad, or like generic, I guess.
Before anyone said anything, Fringy, you still haven't seen it, right?
No, but I might see it either today or tomorrow.
There's one obvious spoiler, so try not to.
Well, yeah, I don't have much more to say. Maybe, I'll definitely have more when I eventually get around to it.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I guess Black Adam is
Black Adam.
Reading about dragons. Okay.
Let's get back to
it. 5 out of 10 movie. Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
Pierce Brosnan was fucking great.
Yeah, he was
that's the one I'm excited to see. Him as Dr.
That was
Fate.
my
Seems
favorite
like
part.
It's going to be really cool.
That was my favorite part.
Dr. Fate was my favorite part.
I will be right back. Carry on.
Be right back. Carry on. Do your thing. I am getting to.
Pierce Brosnan is so fucking cool, man.
Dude, he was a great Bond. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Even his band, like I would watch his Bond movies. Like there's one Daniel Craig Bond movie I like. The rest of them, meh.
Casino Royale is fucking
all time.
Awesome. Yeah, I love Casino Royale. Skyfall is fine.
Skyfall is fine. No Time to Die was shit. I hated it. I fucking hated it.
I was higher on it than I think everybody else was, mostly because I'm so completely detached to the Daniel Craig James Bond from actual James Bond. It's its own little fucking universe. Yep. The entire thing is just him like upset that some bitch that he like died. Like that's the entire fucking like 5-movie arc. And it's not Bond. But I do think that in the universe that they established with him, his actions make sense, unfortunately. Even if I
makes more sense than the original Bond when he loses his wife and he realized, do not get attached to anybody in this business. Don't. Just don't do it.
That's what I thought it was gonna be after I was like, okay, so Quantum of Solace is still about this. Okay, we'll wrap that up and then we'll move on to Bond. But he just never moved on. And failure for
you ever hear that fake theme song for Quantum of Solace? It's so good. Just look at it on YouTube. Yes, that's just put.
I heard you guys played it the other day, and I didn't know what anybody was talking about.
It's hilarious. The Quantum of Solace. It just makes fun. It's
really
fucking lame. Yeah, it's great. Oh, it's old. That's it. God, that came out right when the movie came out. Waiting for Mauler to recommend this as B Buster for $5. I need to watch the series again. I'm probably going to do like a full season review on it after I get back from Orlando, and then we'll talk. I'm really hesitant to do that. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I'm really hesitant to do that right now. And it has a lot to do with that ending of season. If episode 9 had ended somewhat okay, I'd probably be closer to doing it. Not that who gives a shit about my recommendation anyway. Go watch it if you want to. But I don't know if I can do that yet.
For what was this?
Because I just don't want people to hang it for recommending the series. So throughout this whole
I recommend it 100%.
Yeah, like people have asked me and Mauler if we recommend it to Game of Thrones people who are particularly burned by Game of Thrones season 8, and I'm like, that's totally up to you.
I mean, for me, I just say detach it from Game of Thrones, consider it its own, story, and I would recommend it. I really, really liked this whole season, especially Viserys.
Viserys is great.
I would just say enjoy it while you can. I mean, it's better than nearly anything else out there right now. So it's okay.
Yeah,
it's tough to detach it from Game of Thrones because they are inherently tying it to into his promised, and shit like that. So,
but I don't think they're tying it into the show. I think they're trying to tie it into the books to come.
Kind of, but they're using the dagger, like.
But I think that's a spoiler. I really think that's something that is going to be in Wins a Winner.
Yeah,
I do. Because the dagger comes up more than once as the book series goes on, more than once. And like, honestly, it initially it's used for like who actually put the hit on Bran,
right.
And it's, we're led to believe it was Joffrey. So. My biggest issue with the episode was Corlys Valerion's saying he was going to retire to Driftmark and be content with neutrality. Then in the next scene, he pledges his fleet to the Blacks.
Yes,
that was a big turn.
That was so disjointed, and I think it was principally to give Rhaenys this hyper sympathetic position of as if he's the problem. And then flip it so that it's her who's the one who's pushing for war, when in fact it was always him. He is ambitious. He does want, power and name recognition. He wants to be involved in this conflict. Yeah. And it's they've just taken all that away.
Like being fucked over is like what the realm of women. Everybody gets fucked over. Stop it, especially in Westeros. Didn't little Luke just get fucked over pretty hard?
Exactly. He did.
Yeah. I think that. I don't think it's that he's changing his mind. It's that his first moment is because he thinks that's what Rhaenys wants, and he feels like he's done wrong by her for the past several years because of his ambition. So he's going to do what she's always wanted him to do, but now her position has changed, so he's ready to go all in. That's kind of how I saw that play out. So it wasn't really Corlys had changed his mind. Corlys was just ready to ignore his instincts.
And you can't like go off and retire to your castle anyway. You just can't.
But in order for them to do that, they had to set up first that he had abandoned her and then have her actually accuse him of that.
Which again was massively changed from the books. So what a lot of people who haven't read the books are sensing these changes. They're like, that doesn't feel right. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Made up for the last episode. A full season, I can finally breathe and say was great television. Going to watch it again and hope to see you tomorrow night. Says Scott. What's up, Scott from Sporking? Tomorrow night. Yeah, I can make it.
I got every person who's ever committed to anything on Scott's channel. Yeah, I can make it.
Yeah. Do you know I have to go get my driver's license for Texas tomorrow? I haven't done that yet. I've been here for almost 9 months.
Wow.
I've been busy. Okay. And you can't make an appointment. So I just had to like carve out a day where I can just sit there and hope I get it. I got everything else, Case Fountain for 10 British pounds says the majority of the episode was terrible. I was able to get on board during the dragon scene, but even had issues. So disappointed for fuck's sake. Hey, not everybody's happy. It's okay.
Did you like the rest of the season?
Yeah. I thought like it's easily one of the best shows I've seen this year, if not the best. Yeah. But in a year that's just been garbage. I love how Corlys awoke from the dead. This is Case Fountain. He was never gonna die.
He was just sick.
Yeah.
His fever broke.
His fever broke. When it cut to black,
COVID.
All I could say, he did. He got Westeros COVID.
Yeah. They're gonna start instituting fucking jabs and boosters and King's Landing. Fucking just people like handing out shots at Flea Bottom.
called Pfizer tea. Yeah. Rabid Nemo for $10 says, when it cut to black, all I could say was oof, not nearly solid enough for a 2-year gap. I don't think we're going to be waiting 2 years for this one. I don't think so.
No.
It's not wise. Taking
You guys want to see something weird just because I've been having my lunch in the background?
Yeah.
This is the Australian version of Burger King.
Hungry Jack.
Yeah.
Let me see this.
Hungry Jacks.
Do you guys not have Burger King there?
Who is this?
This is our. It is Burger King. This is our. But it's
why
called Hungry
it's
Jacks.
Burger
I think
King?
it was a different, like, I'm pretty sure there was just like a small business that was called Burger King, and they just didn't want to deal with that, like trying to figure it out. So they just renamed themselves.
So
I
you
can
don't
explain it. The king lives in America, so you can't, gotta. When it comes to there, they just got a guy called Jack to take
I don't know.
care
It
of
sounds
it.
like a very Aussie thing. Jack. What do we'll call it? Hungry Jack.
That's right. He's Jack, and he's very hungry for burgers.
I went to a Burger King in London, right next to the London Bridge. I don't know if it's still there, but they served beer in there. I was like, well, that's weird.
I mean, as you can see, right, it's still got the burger integrated into the logo, the marketing shtick is that the burgers are better at Hungry Jack's, which compared to McDonald's,
They are. They
Hungry
are.
Jack.
Australia,
Hungry
yeah,
Jack
they
is
are.
a pancake mix here in America.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Taco, this is a great name, Taco Bella Lugosi.
We don't have because there are a lot of the ones in America that just aren't here, or if they are here, they're in a very limited capacity. I don't think there's any like Arby's or Taco Bell or anything like that.
Yeah, we're very fat here.
Yeah, we lots of junk food and food.
Well, it's kind of it's just kind of lame, right? Because in terms of the big ones here, it's mainly McDonald's, Hungry Jack's, KFC. Like those are the big ones. And so if you don't
Taco
like
Bell?
those, we don't have that. We don't have like Chick-fil-A or like,
you're gonna have Taco Bell though. Like that's coming.
Oh, I can imagine that more of them will come over. Yeah, it's just
so weird.
you don't have a lot of variety, which is lame.
I mean, one advantage is there are a couple more local stores
That's true.
That get going, and so there's a lot of like local noodle places and kebab places, fish and chip shops and stuff.
Well, and of course, like the local stuff is you're always going to get something better from like something that isn't a chain. So it's like give and take, I suppose, when it comes to fast food in this country.
Vegemite tacos. That's
Vegemite tacos. God.
I wouldn't even go. Like I said, Vegemite needs to be respected. Okay, you don't go overboard with it. And a Vegemite taco, I think you'll shoot yourself.
We are
That
American.
sounds like hell. Just
any food we can't eat like a giant fucking pile of. It's not even.
Yeah, Gary, I think you know the pain. Before these meetups, we usually just starve ourselves so we don't look fat as fuck in front of people.
Yeah.
So, I can't wait for Orlando. So I'm gonna fucking pig out.
So a couple of people in chat are saying that there are like a few Taco Bells here and there. It's just not like all over the place. Whereas like everywhere's got McDonald's. Like McDonald's is everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, Pizza Hut has basically gone bankrupt over here.
Yeah, they're basically gone now. It's just
but Domino's have overtaken, so we've got Domino's everywhere now.
Domino's
like
is
if you were
everywhere.
going to Domino's instead of like an actual local pizza place.
Oh,
I
the
don't know
local
what you're
pizza
doing.
places kick the crap out of Domino's.
Yeah, Domino's is not like that's not good. Like, it's not good food. Like,
No, but it's like really convenient and gets.
It's very cheap. That's
Yeah,
the thing. It's
cheap,
stupid
convenient.
cheap.
Yeah, it goes straight through your digestive system. It's not
We'll get back to that House of the Dragon in just a moment. But for those of you in San Antonio, Texas, there's a great pizza chain that just opened up a store here.
Round
Table's fucking awesome. Go check it out. They're so new, they're not even like taking Uber Eats orders or online. You got to like call it in, go pick it up. I went there, I ate one of their pizzas, and it was fucking great. So, so happy.
I think it's a chain. I think I've had that before.
Yeah. It's a chain in California. I think in Arizona too, but there wasn't any around here.
I think I had some in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah, Round Table's awesome.
I think I'm gonna have to jump out. I'm afraid, Mr. Gary. I wouldn't
All right.
like to normally, but we got it to the end of the episode. That's what I was hoping to do.
We did. I'm gonna read a few more soups and then I'm gonna jump out and pass out.
Very well. Well, I mean, anyway, it's been great. These I'm assuming, am I supposed to be recommending or not? Right, that's the meme.
Yeah, are you going to recommend? Are we going to go that far and recommend?
I mean, what I've been saying beforehand was the whole like, I'm gonna want to see the whole show maybe before I can do like a heartily recommended thing. But the thing is, like, the reality is, if a person was like, I'm watching Game of Thrones, but I will stop at wherever you choose, I'd be like, oh, legit, like season 4, episode 9. That's like the absolute place that I consider it's not worth going past there. Not because there's nothing good past there, but because any further, and you're going to start entering into a place where you're not going to want to stop because storylines keep moving around and into each other. Like some people say, like, oh, just don't watch season 8. It's like, imagine watching the end of season 7 and being like, yeah, don't watch season 8. It's like, oh, okay. Trying to look for some kind of more natural ending point. Meanwhile, with this, I mean, you know from the way they've been talking about it, season 1 is solid. It's good. If not close to great. I mean, I really wish they didn't have the Rhaenys thing in it because I'd be much more comfortable with saying great. We almost made it, but the thing is, like, if season 2 is horrible and so is season 3 or whatever, I'll just be like, well, season 1, check that out. This is a bit of a cliffhanger if you only ever watch season 1, but you know, maybe that's the way it should work. I don't know. But ultimately, the thing that gets me, the reason I have to say, like, yeah, is the Viserys arc. People should see it. Exactly. It's really good. It's well worth seeing. It's irrelevant of my disdain toward Game of Thrones. It's that is, yeah, in terms of this year for storytelling, like, that's one of the highest ranking, if not the highest ranking thing that's new that I saw.
Yeah. All right, like, before you go, I'll say it's the best, like, probably the best show I've seen this year. Terminal List, second. Reacher, third. Those are my top 3 shows this year. I think those are all like, and like, shit, 2 of them are on Amazon Prime. How weird is that?
I know.
But this is my fave. Really good, I think, is a good recommendation. If it's better than most shit, like, cancel Disney Plus. If you got HBO Max, go ahead and watch this. It's good. You know,
I have not been excited. I have not been excited to watch, like, for 9 o'clock Eastern Sundays or whatever time to come in forever. You guys were talking about Game of Thrones, whatever. I've never been like excited and anticipated and thinking and like going over so much stuff with a show in a long time as I have with this one.
Yep.
It's compelling. You're invested in the characters. You really are like trying to figure out where things are going and who's manipulating what. I think it's really good, and I would highly recommend it. It's not for everybody because some people don't want like shows that do a lot of speaking without speaking or like looks between people communicating and pushing the plot forward. But I love what this show did.
Are you trying to say some people are dumb, Ryan?
Some people, like, not that some people are dumb, but just some people aren't looking for that type of entertainment, you know.
I think
some people are looking
overdone. Dan and Dave overdid it with the looks with no actual message or content or context for anything, as opposed to in this show where you can have Daemon in an entire scene not saying a word, and yet it conveys so much. It's just masterful.
Mauler, have a good one, man.
Yeah, you guys too, and hopefully we get someone else to do this with, because it's been fun. It's just been kicking back, chatting about, and the weekly release. Just you guys, everyone needs to realize that's the way to do it. Hey, Stranger Things. When you do season 5, you really shouldn't even split it in 2. It should be 1 per week.
1 per week. You can binge it later.
I mean,
binge it later.
I really feel the weekly release is what has helped, you know, House of the Dragon gain momentum, because word of mouth has gotten around. People saying this episode was great. It's like, oh, I might try, and then more people get on board, and they're all hanging out for the next episode.
Well, it's just the television show format, like, was created this way. Like, it was created to be taken, you know, episode by episode. So it only makes sense that that's the formula.
We got some Star Wars breaking news here.
Oh, this is gonna be so bad.
Secret Star Wars film from Damon Lindelof and Lucasfilm sets Miss Marvel's Charmin Obaid-Chinoy as the director.
Is this official?
It just broke a couple minutes ago.
I wonder if this is the woman Marvel had to beg to come back to reshoot the show, because one of the directors had to be begged to come back to reshoot the show. Miss Marvel.
Really? I guess this was at 8:25, so this is about 4 hours ago. But it's from Deadline.
This is Deadline. That's like a real source. That's not like a meme source.
Damon Lindelof, Watchmen season 1. That's all I gotta say. Fucking
his name is
there we go. Then that's great, because Miss Marvel wasn't the worst thing that Marvel has made.
I don't see how it could be.
Oh. No, She-Hulk is the worst thing Marvel has made. She-Hulk is the worst thing Marvel has made.
Miss Marvel actually was average at some points, and there were things I enjoyed about it. It was just
it has time travel.
It wasn't made for me. It didn't have things that interest me, and it was not a compelling character. And I didn't even finish it.
The chances of this happening are slim to none. This is just in a movie.
This particular project.
Yeah.
Unless it's a big name Star Wars thing, it'll die. Look at what's happening with the Andor. No one freaking cares.
There's a big difference between in development and greenlit. So I think this is an in development.
Well, yeah, right. Like it's only when a film
Does this get you excited for Star Wars, everyone? David Lindelof. Ryan, are you excited?
I'm excited to make videos about it. Yeah.
Oh my God. Mauler, you can really go.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was gonna say something about that weekly release thing. Oh yeah, it was if say for example there were 10 good payoffs throughout this season. If you release it all at once, most people are just going to talk about the best of the 10, as opposed to each one each week. Which this just seems like the obvious thing to do. You should do it. Do it. Okay. Goodbye, everybody.
Later, brother.
Gary, it's been fun. All of yous talking. And I look forward to the next time, wherever it may be. Probably Tuesday, Gary. I'll see you then.
See you Tuesday.
Okay. Boy.
See you, man.
All right. Anybody else need to get out?
I should probably go. I still need to pack a bunch of stuff because I'm going down to the content house starting tomorrow.
Are you gonna be there tomorrow?
I'm gonna be there tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh shit! I still gotta mail you stuff.
Well, you can mail it to the house and I can go and get it.
Yeah. I could mail it.
You did wait a little longer, but.
Well, my wife said
Garrett said he was going to mail it stuff to me too.
I'm going to have to mail stuff to him, and he's just going to have to drive it out. That's what's going to happen. So
there you go. Either way, just let me know, and I can always come run back to the house. No big deal.
Otherwise, we'll just buy some shit when we're out there, or just not use it. Use camera microphones, whatever.
No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. But thanks for having me on. It was a pleasure and an honor to be a part of this. Again, I've been actually enjoying this, and I've been loving listening to you guys do your reviews. And it's nice every once in a while we get something that we enjoy, and that was House of the Dragon for me. So I would definitely recommend it. And that's just the bottom line. Whether Game of Thrones ended like shit or not, I would still recommend watching this show because I think it was really compelling and really well done. And with that being said, I will see a bunch of you guys in Orlando for the meetup. And Fringy, Shad, Jayne, and Gary, good talking to you guys.
Take care, Ryan. Hold on, buddy.
See ya.
Yeah, that was I can't wait to watch this again. Like now we can binge it. See, it's okay to binge it after the weekend, and I just like spend a day watching it or sit on the plane. Watch planes suck. Yeah, I'm gonna be in Orlando next week. Not looking forward to the flight, but once we land, I'll be fine. Let's read some soups. Get out of here. Bottom line, this show is proof enough that there are those in Hollywood that still get it. Maybe there's hope, says Brandon Anderson for $10. Yeah, for the most part, yes, I absolutely agree. I mean, like, I'm not expecting it to be 10 out of 10. But imagine a Conan series from Ryan Condell. That would have probably been pretty fucking
great. Great.
Could have had it too.
Gosh.
Wasn't for Jennifer Salke, who axed it because it was too masculine.
I mean, if they had it's such an easy thing to recognize. Oh, she ruins shows. She's promoted a show that's awful. Like, why is she not getting fired and just replaced with someone who's competent? It's just amazing.
Agenda, and I think I think she is in trouble because there's been 2 fluff pieces on her, and she's got a marketing background, so I'm almost certain that she's the one who initiated these fluff pieces, especially the first one, which was probably written by her. It had just all her friends saying nice things about her for paragraph after paragraph. My next video is about her. I'm going after her in my next video. It's just, she is the villain of this story. Okay. If there's a villain of this story, it's not the fandom. Guess what? It's Amazon's Kathleen Kennedy.
Wow.
Amazon, Kathleen Kennedy. Except Kathleen Kennedy did shit. All right. She's attached to stuff that's actually good. Jennifer Salke, not so much. Sean Jackson for $4.99. It would really be good if season 2 starts with a close-up of Allison's face reacting to what happened. Yeah, that would, I mean, like, yes. It'd also be really
the best way to do it.
Yep. Yeah. It'd also be really good for them not to wait 2.5 years to come out. Like they gotta do is fast, like they did before.
Keep the momentum.
Yeah.
How it only took them I mean, like COVID, you can't like COVID, I'll even give like Lord of the Rings took or sorry, Rings of Power took 18 months to shoot, but that was because of COVID. Like you can add 6 months.
I guess it's post-production that I imagine would be the big thing that takes a while.
Yeah.
And they didn't announce a second season like
yeah, right. So then you got to make sure that all your actors are ready to shoot and everything. Yeah. But I imagine that from here on out, it will be much smoother. It's like, this is guaranteed success.
Oh, this is like one of the biggest things. I mean, like, Dahmer's obviously huge, but this is like genre-wise, this is probably the biggest thing that's out right now.
Yep. Yeah, seems that way. Everybody's talking about it.
Yep.
He attacked to make an opening to fly higher, says Annie Nunya Biz for $2. That's an argument. I'd have to watch it.
He came
I'm going to be watching. Yeah, exactly. That's like it came in from the side and it was open air and he could have flown in any other direction from what it really looked like. And I'm trying to find, like, the thing is, I do want to try and find a way to justify it, but not go too far, because you need to justify it by what the show has given you, you know, indication towards. Otherwise, you're just making up headcanon to rewrite the show where the writers should have done that in the first place.
I think the way that I would approach it is if the best faith, if like a good faith reading of what happens is believable, then it's like, okay, you know, I can accept that. And it's like, I can just believe that the dragon behaved the way that it did.
Yeah.
I just buy it.
As I've said,
but, you know, agree to disagree.
Yeah, exactly. Well, as I've said, and Mauler said it too, if I'm invested in a good characters, there's contrivances and plot holes seems to be a big problem for me. When they become a big problem is like I have no character to get into. It's the only thing I can pay attention to your show, and then I start noticing them.
Yeah, and let me be very clear, right? Let's say, or even pretend that this was an unfixable problem, that it's just unjustified and there's no reason for the dragon to do it. Did not ruin the episode by far, did not ruin the payoff. Like the what happened to the kid at the end was very still impactful, and what it set up and the enjoyment of this episode was very high for me. I mean, we're still in like 7 out of 10 territory for me at the moment.
Easily.
Yeah.
I can't say the rest of this, Jesse Valak for $7.99 Australian because of spoilers. So I will asking. Jayne will know. Gary, what season do you think the big showdown will happen? I'll just say that the last season. I think it'd be the last season. And 4 like is as far as it goes. Like George wants 4. It sounds like HBO wants 3. George wanted 13 episode seasons. HBO wanted 10. So I think they'll get 4. Anything longer than that would be too long, though. Way too long. Yeah.
But let George guide it, please.
Keep George happy. I think they've learned their lesson on that one. And George, finish your fucking book, okay? Moose Crew for $19.99. I loved browsing Free Folk these last 2 days and seeing all the Granny Vagar having PTSD from the Dornish War. Yes. Visenya, when did the Dornish get dragons? Meanwhile, Aemon is just writing her like, what the fuck? Oh, that's good. I got Free Folk. I used to go there every day when Game of Thrones was, because their memes are, and they're like, they're not memes like Rings of Power making fun of the show. They're making fun of things. They're like, you know, it's just jokes about the plot that you're still into in the show. That shows engagement. And that's what Jeff Bezos thought he could buy, a cultural phenomenon, right? And like HBO's kind of done it again. the fact that they're getting more than half their audience of the average of Game of Thrones is incredible. That's a fucking miracle. That is a miracle. A lot of people miss Sunday. A lot of people miss 6 o'clock Sunday on the West Coast, 9 on the East Coast, hanging out with their family and their friends, watching Game of Thrones. It became kind of a cultural institution in a sense, and they managed to scrape it off the fucking dirt. It's great. It's good. It's good.
It's amazing.
It's a credit to them. And seriously, the opening for season 2, that's going to have huge numbers. There's going to be anticipation built up for it. And just compare that to what season 2 of Rings of Power will be like when that comes out. It's going to be a wet fart. No one's going to care.
Can you see any none of the Game of Thrones, none of the House of the Dragon trailers got ratioed. Not even close. Not even close. And that was prior to the season. After this, you're right. The anticipation for this is going to be insane. Insane. It'll be back. It'll be close to Game of Thrones level. You'll see behind. I'll never forget like how crazy shit got with Game of Thrones, with the spies fucking climbing mountains with telephoto lens pictures. Like it was nuts, man.
Not to mention the fan immersion. I mean, people are choosing houses now. Everyone's picking sides. I love it.
And there's not even that many houses to like, your team. I'm still, yes, I'm rooting for the Blacks. I'm rooting for the Blacks.
House Stark.
House Stark. I'm always House Stark. I love
House.
Shad, you need to understand how big a taboo kinslaying is in Westeros. Luke would likely never suspect he was in danger here, especially under a peace banner. Bill Sotheby for $20. Yeah.
I mean, correct. I don't know the context of how serious it has been put, because what the show was demonstrating to me, and what me as a layman who's, should only, gain information from the show. You shouldn't need extra information from the books for things to make sense. It seemed like with how far the Greens had gone, that it was like being, demonstrated. All bets were off. They would be willing to, they said multiple times by Otto that they need to kill all the children and Thingo and stuff. And so that's even a setup for me. That's like, they're willing to go that far. And there was nothing telling me that Rhaenyra didn't believe that was a possibility, which is why I had that kind of, is this a good choice? Wouldn't you be aware of the risk?
Let me tell you about the Iron Islands in the Song of Ice and Fire. There's a character named Victorian Greyjoy. Great character. Big oaf. Big, giant, dangerous man. Mm-hmm. And he's the brother of Euron Greyjoy, evil, pirate, mystic, molesting mofo. Like Victorian could rip him in half with his bare hands, but doesn't. Even after Euron rapes his wife, he doesn't do it because he doesn't want to be a kinslayer. He does. So that's how big of a deal it is to some. Now, does everybody honor it? No, it depends. But the Targaryens are pretty, their bloodline is they think it's so pure. Like it is hard for them to do that. Like, that's why I thought it was an improvement that Aemon was a little horrified by what he did, a lot horrified by what he did. That adds a whole new layer to things that honestly wasn't in the books. That was improved upon, in my opinion. It's a big deal in Westeros. Peace banners, eating of bread and salt under your roof. That means you can't touch somebody as long as they're there, and you have to give them guest gifts in some areas, like the North still, before they're released of that, and then you can go kill them. But if you feed somebody under your roof, that person is safe.
They could have injected and shown that a bit better in the show then, because I mean, they just have Otto saying we need to kill him pretty clearly. So.
Yeah, it is a little bit ambiguous with Aemon, because they show him as this sort of very fearsome, almost animalistic creature, like a worser version of Daemon. And then you do get this moment of him being very sort of childlike at the brothel, very vulnerable. And then you're back to him being incredibly threatening to his own nephew, and he accidentally kills him. It's like, what do we have here?
I think we have somebody who's like a younger Daemon, impulse control, and doesn't really want to hurt anybody. I mean, like, early when their first scene together with little Jason, like Aemon was getting along with them. They were getting along, you know. And it's the parents that poisoned them and the circumstances. Luke did his duty and died for it. Think on how many real life young men have done the same. Rest in peace. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And think of the repercussions this is going to have. People might change sides. You never know what's going to happen. You just don't know. You just don't know. The Strong Boys kind of forgot about Vagar and Aemon. Yes, they did. Chapter Mistress. That is that. All right. We're almost out of here, guys. Kenneth Dowling. Hi, Nerdrotic and crew. Thanks, Ryan, for joining. I thought I couldn't handle the childbirth scenes, but miscarriage, woo! Dragons like no one else. Last 10 minutes was the most suspense excitement all year. Peace. Yeah, that dude, that last scene was great. Freaking great. I've got 2 games for you guys to play, Shelter 69 and Daemon Speakeasy. Side note, Daemon Speakeasy has a great story and is better than the Rings of Power. All hail Dovahkiin. Dovahkiin?
That's from Skyrim.
Okay.
Dovahkiin.
He says his name is Skyrim 96 for $20. My son wouldn't know that. He plays Skyrim. Yeah, it's not hard to be better than the Rings of Power. I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, it's not really.
Yeah.
It's not.
Watching paint dry is better than watching Rings of Power. My goodness.
Because it's not offensive. Like it's just.
And also, what happens? The paint drying is a natural cause and effect of the process of what was.
Yeah, there's never a point where I'm like, is that meant to be happening?
Lavish Patch Kid for $20 says, how come no one brings up the fact that the same people arguing characters with identities should only be played by actors who are the same people ruining fantasy from race and gender swapping? It's because they're all fucking hypocrites. Okay, Emma D'Arcy is non-binary. Why is she stealing roles from women?
Exactly.
Is Rhaenyra Targaryen non-binary? And no, honestly, I don't give a shit. I just ask for consistency. And I don't think everything has to be in everything. We don't have to have every representation in every story. We just need good stories. And in time, if people think one is, you know what? For one, there's no shortage of stories, by the way. It's because they're repurposing stories and forcing things in them to make them not the stories anymore. When you fundamentally change Tolkien's work, it's not Tolkien's work anymore. It's shit.
Mm-hmm.
Go on, Shad.
They lack the creativity to make their own. And so because they're incompetent, they need to ride off of the success and fan base of pre-established properties. But then those are problematic. So it's got to have our representation in. They bastardize it. And that's where they're at.
They're also very cheap and lazy. They're not going to invest in new stories because they don't want to take a chance. They would rather just bastardize the existing ones.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is, we can make new stories. That's why people have tagged this the Iron Age, where there's a new age of raw, creators that are willing to hammer it out, as they say, and go through the harder process. And I'm doing my part, graphic novel.
Yeah. I stand by my top 5 murdered franchises. Number 1, Doctor Who came out today, and they brought in all these cameos. And I think Jay gave it the best description. It's like 1,000 Rise of Skywalkers. And they only needed to do one thing to make the Doctor Who fans happy: wipe out the Timeless Children timeline where they retcon the origin. If they had erased that at the end, fuck David Tennant and all the other and Ace they brought. If they would have done that, you would have brought back more fans than bringing in David Tennant and not addressing the only thing that's left. Doctor Who fans, not normies, Doctor Who fans are pissed off about and will not stop being pissed off about. They're not going to forget that, that was the biggest fuck up of them all. I would say that I need to add to the list, probably Marvel can be a murdered franchise.
I was such a big Doctor Who fan, and I'm not legacy fan, but the reboot series I loved. I flipping built a TARDIS for my wife, right? Unironically, a full-size TARDIS. So we both loved it so much. And Jodie Whittaker just
butchered it all. I haven't.
You shouldn't
I've
build any monuments to any because it could always be tainted.
No, it's a monument to how good it used to be.
Well, yeah,
but the
you
thing
could
is,
also
though,
take that
right?
away, true.
Is that who they cast for the new Doctor just shows that they haven't learnt a friggin' thing. It's going to be just as bad as it has been.
Yep. Bringing back David Tennant just buys them time. And it's gonna be like 2 years. It's over. It's all like apathy kicks in. We're seeing it with Star Wars. It'll happen. It's already happened to Star Trek. It's happening to Doctor Who. Once you get to apathy, that's death. You're dead. You're in hospice at that point.
And look, they deserve it. Like, look, I've actually been finding it really satisfying that Andor has been bombing because they deserve it. This is what you get. All right, you've made crap. You've ruined it.
Though, like, because I watched the first 3 episodes and like I like it. It feels like they have a story that they want to tell, and it's like that does seem lame to me that one's the one that's gonna not get any. I don't know. Like it depends on what happens.
But that's why it sends a more powerful message for you because Andor is one of the.
I think
it shows it. Sorry,
I get what you mean. I totally get what you mean. My concern is that they're going to learn the wrong lessons from that. That you did a show that was much more the product of like, we have a story that we want to tell and we're going to try and work towards it. I get the concern that it'll be like, oh, people don't want that. They just want cameos and like they want like what Book of Boba Fett was or something. It's like, oh, I don't like that.
But that's going to start failing like that. I mean, they should
have. You might be right about that. Yeah,
they should have put that much work into Obi-Wan. Period.
Yeah, Obi-Wan. It's kind of one of those crazy things, right? It's like it wasn't Obi-Wan, it wasn't the Boba Fett show, it wasn't even Mandalorian. It's like Andor was like the one that like had the chance to be something. You know, like it's just bizarre,
I mean,
isn't it?
I am far more critical of Andor than a lot of people. I think it's actually a bad show, but I will say it's the best Star Wars thing they've made in a long time. It is better.
I think that's
by being the least Star Wars thing.
Categorical. It's got
in
it. Like you know,
how sad is it though that like the best Star Wars thing is the least Star Wars thing.
Maybe that's like it's maybe that's like the reason why Andor was like. Because it's not any of the stuff that was like more clearly pillageable, like Obi-Wan Kenobi, where it's going to be like, well, yeah, we need to throw Darth Vader in there. We need to throw like cameos or references. It gets to sit off in its own little corner. I just get concerned. That's all that it's like going to be. I mean, yeah, like any assessment of Andor is
a valid concern, but the problem is they should have written a more exciting show for Andor. They like it's better. I'm sure it's better. I'm not going to doubt that, but it's not exciting. It's not engaging at all.
I guess I would say that it's like, yeah, like engaging is kind of it's preferences, I think, at that point. Because I found the first 3 episodes engaging. I think like any full assessment, like with anything, is wait till the end of the season, watch it in full, sit on it for a while, and then think about it. So like, I don't know if I'd say based on 3 episodes, Andor was like a recommendation yet. I have to finish it before I'd figure that out.
Like, I'm biased too. Like I'm so black-pilled on Star Wars. I give a fuck.
No, I know, right? I'm not very optimistic about the future of that franchise.
Yeah.
I've not been given much reason to.
That's what I was going to say, is because this is the best Star Wars thing they've made in a while, and it's bombing because it's just the results of what they have sown. You know, they've ruined it.
Yeah.
They've destroyed interest, and no one gives a crap anymore.
It's kind of like Solo, right? Solo is. It's not a good movie at all. It's pretty bad. I don't think it's as bad as like the sequel trilogy itself, though. But it bombed in the wake of The Last Jedi. It's like, that's got to be like, you got to recognize that there's like a causality there, you know?
Absolutely.
Like, you can't take investment in a story for granted. At the end of the day, people are going to be receptive to good storytelling. You can't take it for granted, and they have.
I totally agree with that. All right, we'll do 3 more, and then I gotta go. Sorry, folks. I'll do a square up before I go to Orlando. Okay, I got to do a Rings of Power and also Dragon Square up. The most important question. If George lives to 1,000, he would procrastinate for 1,000 years. Says right.
No.
Hello, love your stuff. After last week, I got interested and looked how many people the Coliseum held. It was 50,000 spectators. So Rainey's could easily have a 5-figure body count. Paragon of restraint there. Says Acid Hot Pocket for $20. Yeah. She's the number 2 killer in the history of Game of Thrones. Well, no. Well, Night King killed a lot of people too, I guess. But I mean, a live person.
Yes,
living
exactly.
person.
Breathing person.
She's like, how many people did Daenerys kill in Game of Thrones season 8? What, 20, 30,000?
Oh yeah,
No, it would be a lot. It would be a
easily.
lot.
Yeah, and then it's Rhaenys. So girl power. Yeah. They kill a lot of fucking people. Way to go. Seems like the readers of the books have let the taint their objectivity, says Angel Art Critic for $20. You know, that happens to every show from you know, like
I don't know. I think being informed. Sorry. Go.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I've said that this show is an improvement on this book, but like A Song of Ice and Fire, thousand times better even than the good series. Sorry, go on, Chad.
Well, I was just saying that I think being informed about the source material can be hugely valuable because it sets a point of reference to compare it against. And that's what you've been doing, Gary. You're saying it's actually an improvement on the book. That's not getting in the way of your objectivity, I think. And I mean, and in contrast, if the show is worse, you have the exact point of reference to show how it could have been done better. That's what I did with Wheel of Time. A massive Wheel of Time fan for the books. And it was so good to be able to reference direct examples of this scene is a bastardization from one in the books.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what they did in the book and break down. This is why it's better. And so I'm not sure. Like, I get what they're saying sometimes, but other times it certainly helps understand why something is working or why it's worse when you have the source material knowledge.
I think
It's a change by change basis for sure. Some changes have been really good and worked really well, and some changes you understand even if you don't necessarily agree because it is a television adaptation, so they have to condense a lot. But then there are other changes that are comparatively worse,
that are not in the spirit of the book of George, who is like a classic liberal feminist guy, but never lets that take over his storytelling, aside from one too many tomboys. But like, he'll kill them. You know, they're not like these perfect creatures. They fuck up. So it's like Rhaenys was like on a trajectory to be a pretty good character, and then she's not now. Now she's the single most annoying thing in a really good show.
Yep.
And she didn't need to be. She could have had her badass moment. She's going to have another one, and it's like they're really it felt forced in because it was
right.
Because it was. But you know, Rhaenyra, like great. Like, I even like warmed up to Emma Darcy, which I didn't think I was going to do, by the way. I didn't happen. What is her name? Millie Alcock.
Yeah, something
right. Like it was fantastic. But both the younger versions did a great job. Olivia, the older Alicent, fantastic. She's great. Matt Smith rules. Patty rules.
Everybody's been great. They've just been so good.
So this has been a long one. So we're gonna go. I want to thank everyone who joined me for this one, and this has been a ton of fun. It was a pleasant surprise. Big pleasant surprise. Captain Miko, thank you for becoming a member. As I said before, I thought Mauler and I were going to review the first couple of episodes and be bored and call it shit, and I would make a couple of videos calling it like woke feminist garbage and move on with my life, just, like, knowing that like this year just mostly sucked. So and then like after Game of Thrones season 8, and the fact that I got into it is, and it has a lot to do with Matt Smith and Patty at first, but then I got into everything else and the writers. So for the most part, really fucking good. And I'm really surprised and I'm really happy. We all win when we get a good TV show.
Yes. Yeah.
And I also love, like, just, I mean, there's been heaps of evidence already, but this should be nail in the coffin. We don't hate for the sake of hating. We want just good friggin' shows. And if a good show comes along, even if we're ready to hate on it because there's all these warning signs, if it's good, we acknowledge it. It's like, there we go.
I mean, let's be real. It's an anomaly, but it will happen. And you're going to start seeing more of this because things are changing, because these companies actually need to make money now. They're not swimming in investor cash anymore. The capital is gone. The fat cats are gone. They have to produce results. And now because they're all massive corporations, they have shareholders and not just owners, and they can't just go out and produce and spend other people's money. They have to, like, this whole streaming thing was a huge gamble. And what they're going to end up doing is contracting, which means they have to make good shit or they're not going to make any money and get subscribers. So
and for this IP too, they had a lot to prove. I mean, after season 8, there was just I was absolutely upset about the whole thing. The fact that they were even having these spinoffs annoyed me to no end. So
the thing was deader than dead after Game of Thrones season 8. Game of Thrones, like Jayne, that was my favorite thing. Yes. It was my favorite thing. The books, everything, and it fucking killed it like overnight. And George not finishing the book. Like I was at the time when the show failed, I was like, at least we got the books. Then we went through a COVID year and the guy didn't fucking finish. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
He had nothing better to do and still didn't finish.
He was in a cabin and all he had to do was write the book and he didn't finish the book. Fuck, dude. You want to talk about like how much that book would have sold so much if it had came out during COVID? It would have been the biggest thing in the world. He could have bought another choo-choo train. He could have bought 3 choo-choo trains. Damn it, George. But he did flog a lot about the fucking Giants and the Jets. God damn it. Fringy, is there anything you'd like to plug, sir?
Oh well, I got videos on YouTube, but I'm just in the middle of working on next big project, so nothing really new.
All right. I look forward to your next big projects because they're very good. And you can also find Fringy on the EFAP.
That's right. Yes, we just finished our coverage of She-Hulk finally. So yeah. And I think House of the Dragon is upcoming in terms of coverage over there because it's basically earned it at that point. It's like there's a lot to talk about, so it's worth going into.
Absolutely.
And thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. It's been fun.
My pleasure. Thanks for coming on. Jayne Theory, thank you for joining us. Anything you'd like to plug?
Thank you for having me. Yes, I just dropped my Black Adam review on my channel. I'm on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram. You name it. This has been fantastic. Outstanding. Loved every bit of it. And it's been great.
Shad M. Brooks, author, swordsman, Renaissance man.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, guys, if you haven't grabbed your copy of the Shadow the Conqueror graphic novel, grab it while it's available. The campaign is, starting to round up. There's 6 days left on it. We're not sure if we can extend it or not, so do grab it while you can. It's also the second edition version of the novel available through that campaign with collector covers. You can get both in leather bound, which is just premium. They look amazing. Top tier stuff. Thank you to everyone who has supported it because I'm using this to launch a whole company where I'll be wanting to do more graphic novels, more comic books, push it as far as I can. So I'm really excited where this is going. Hopefully we can push it as far as possible. Everyone's support is absolutely phenomenal. Thank you for everyone who has.
Cheers, buddy. See you Friday on Friday Night Tights. We're gonna push that thing over.
I can't wait.
I can't wait either. To all of you in the chat, thank you for joining us. Thank you to the Nerdrotics. Thanks to everyone who left a super chat and donation. You help keep the lights on. Again, there will be a Rings of Power and House of the Dragon Square before I go to Orlando. And I just want to say this has been a genuine pleasure. I love what I do. Every day I'm on vacation because I love my occupation. But like I pinched myself. I love this, but this was a blast, and I can't wait for season 2, and we can do it again.
Likewise.
Yeah,
looking forward to it.
It's great to talk about stuff that's good. It's really fun and rewarding.
Thank you, HBO and Ryan Condell and Zaslav and whoever the fuck was behind getting this show going. So thanks. Really sincerely appreciate it. Best of luck with season 2. Take care, y'all. See you Tuesday.
Bye, everybody.
Oh, wait, there's a video. I have a video coming out tomorrow. So see you Monday. Bye.
Bye.